see it again on Tuesday.
Nice. Yeah, I want to.
I took Gibson, and after the first scene with the Hulk, you know, like right at the very beginning, Gibson's like, "Can I lay on your arm?" I'm like, "Sure." And then he fell asleep for the whole movie.
Oh my god.
It's awesome.
I mean, that's not a kid's movie. It's not, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little dark.
It's not like there's a lot of bad language and stuff. It's not till the end when it gets dark.
Yeah.
When everybody dies, when every single character dies. Yeah.
It's already memed out by now, so it's hard to.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell you no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys?
Why would you say that live, Dave? That's messed up. Now, anytime someone clicks on that, like, that's the first thing they're gonna hear.
I can't believe every character died.
No, it's not what he says.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I mean, hey, it's 10 years of build-up. If you didn't see it on the first night, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, but normally you give it a month before you start saying spoilers online.
Well,
that's the
fair.
general rule. If
That's
you don't
fair.
see it within the first month, then I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, that's even more fair. So
If you
yeah,
are too poor to see it right away.
Oh my goodness.
Alright, everything is propagating. We got people on the streams. I am posting links.
Oh, I should get on YouTube.
Oh, there we go.
YouTube chat's at.
Is that an easy way to monitor, David?
Yes.
Brograph.tv it will be there in a second.
It's the YouTube, but then I think you should go to YouTube. Actually go to YouTube, and you can see the good chat. Like, YouTube is where all the chat is.
Well, you see all the chat in the stream.
Yeah.
But
Gotcha.
But if you go to YouTube, then you see it on the side and you see it in the dingus at the same time.
That's interesting. It says when you send. I just did the bat channel, by the way.
Did you do an @ channel?
Yes. It said when you send this as an @ channel, you will be going to 21 people across 7 time zones. It's like, all right,
Whoa.
sorry.
Think of the scope of your chat right now.
So you don't wake people up.
Yeah.
Which I get. But that's why I made it like an opt-in thing.
Have we been rolling this whole time? We've been
Yeah.
rolling.
Oh no, I'm not rolling.
Oh, okay.
No,
Then
I'm
I'm gonna
not.
stop and delete everything I've just recorded.
Test 1 2.
Okay.
Oh, I am really.
You guys want to sync, or do we have to wait till we're on
We'll sync once we're on.
so that the people can enjoy the sync clap?
Yeah, everyone enjoys this the sync clap.
Everyone loves
It's
the
hard
clap.
to say.
All right, that is all up and running. We are good here. We're good there. We're good everywhere. I'm gonna go to the pod 4. Let's test that. Pod 4. There's all of us. I'm a little funky looking. What's going on with my camera?
Oh, that's so funny. The chat about canceling the rest of the day. Liam said that.
Oh wow.
It's true.
I walk away for 3 seconds and then the chat's all full. Hello, everyone.
I'm watching Tokyo Megaplex, watching this live from Walgreens.
Oh my gosh.
Let me try fixing my camera real quick.
David, have you seen the Loaf Zone?
I have. It's
Oh,
amazing.
Yeah, I saw you commented on it. We're going to talk about that on the show too. All right, testing 4x screen so we can see Beeple's people. Where's my Beeple viewer of choice? Yep, there's my Beeple viewer of choice. Look at that. I believe this is the first time we've had 4 people on the show.
Yeah,
Live.
it is.
Liam, did you see what Liam said to you, Dave? He said
Bucket.
you have your bucket next to you today.
He doesn't
Oh, yeah.
understand that you had to. Buckets would not be that helpful for pooping.
No, I wasn't pooping.
You weren't
I was
pooping?
puking.
You were puking?
I was puking.
What's up, Mitch?
Mitch.
Busted a blood vessel in my eye. I'd puked so bad. All right, well, let's save it for the show. Hold on.
Save it for the show.
Let's
Right,
do a
because
sync.
people want to hear
All right, hold on. I need to start recording.
about. Oh yeah, me too.
Okay, rolling.
All right, rolling.
Hands are ready.
Ready for the clap. That's what
My
she
body is ready.
My body is ready.
said. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Nailed it.
All right, let's get
I
right
love
into
the
it. 'Cause every time we
rippling
talk,
clap.
we go off on another tangent that should be on the show.
Yeah, we've
Oh,
just
that's
done
hilarious.
That for the past
When you
minutes.
when you watch it on the chat, like all three of us were in sync and Dave was completely off.
Well, that
That's
makes
awesome.
sense.
Right.
Because it's coming from my end, yeah.
Right.
All right.
Because Dave can't clap. He's got a dysfunction.
Latency. Sibilance.
That was my what's his name? Who's the dude? Who's the dude from he was in Blast from the Past and The Mummy. Brendan Fraser. Have you seen the Brendan Fraser clap?
Yeah.
Dave, look up Brendan Fraser clap gif. It's so funny.
Brendan. Fraser. Clap laugh?
Clap, laugh.
gif?
Yeah.
I'm looking it up.
Should put it on the stream so everyone can see it, Dave.
I'm looking. Hold on. I'm on.
What's so funny?
As usual, be sure to talk about how cool I am.
You mean the one where he just...
It's that.
That one?
Hilarious. It's so
I don't
funny.
know.
All right,
funny.
anyway.
It's funny. It's
Yeah,
kind of.
it's
Is
at the
it-
award show.
It's pretty derpy.
That is pretty derpy.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
All right. Are we all rolling for sure?
I am rolling.
Sibilance.
All right. This is gonna be a short show.
This is not gonna be. This is gonna be
Not
the
gonna be a
longest
short
show
show
we've
at all.
ever had.
All right.
It's good because I'm trying to procrastinate.
Yeah, me too.
Strap in, everyone.
David, move your camera left just a little bit. It'll center you up there.
It's about to get serious here.
Is that
There you
better?
go. Yeah, that's
Okay.
better. It's a little bit better.
It's all crooked.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. Good. Oh. All right. Here we go.
Wait, how are we doing this? You're gonna say you, I'm gonna say me, then am I gonna introduce everyone? Or
No,
David's
we'll just
gonna
say
say
all our names.
David.
Brandon, get used to saying your name.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
easier.
dude. Hey, is
But
the
who's
jazz
first
on?
is the question.
Is the jazz on?
The jazz has just been turned off.
This
Okay.
jazz.
I'll say I'm Dave. I'm Matt. And then
I'm
what?
David
David. And you say I'm Brandon.
and Brandon.
Wow, okay.
And then do you want me to like introduce?
No.
Never mind. Whatever.
No.
Let's do.
Then I'll just go
do
into
it.
the spiel.
Screw it. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. F it.
All right. Let's go.
All right. Here we go. What up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph Brocast. I'm Dave.
I'm Matt.
I'm David.
And I'm Brandon.
Brograph is a supplement to our site, brograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other MoGraph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. And you can email us, brograph@brograph.com, with your questions, comments, and show topic ideas. We would love to hear from you. We haven't gotten a lot of email lately because I know everybody likes to hang out in our Slack channel. You slackers.
fine.
Except for me, because I'm a jerk.
You're
not
there
a jerk, you're
sometimes.
just busy.
I'm sometimes there. I'm not even
Yeah.
that busy. I just want to play video games. is
By
all.
the
You
way,
go
I
check
got a
on our
bone to
prayers.
pick with you, David, about
What?
some of these, some of the prayers channel.
Oh,
I
yeah?
said a prayer to Octane Jesus the other day, and
Didn't
it did
come
not
true.
come through.
Oh,
It did
no.
not come
That's
true.
because he didn't
I'm so
reply to
sorry.
you.
Yeah,
true.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it was marked on red.
It's not like Bruce Almighty. It doesn't work that way.
Because you
Yeah,
did
yeah.
answer Casey and his
That's true.
prayers were answered.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, they were? That's awesome.
Yeah, they were.
That's dope.
Anyway.
So
Yeah, I
we
was
gotta
really
we
looking
gotta
forward to that gig that I was bidding on, and my prayers did not get answered. No.
we got a short show for you today. Not really.
Pequeño show.
But
We brought both David and Brandon on because when David was doing his interview at SIGGRAPH, it was like 22 minutes, and I threw my back
Yeah.
out, during that interview. And so I
Best moment of
figured,
my life.
I just kind of wanted to chill today. I would just let them do all the work and sit back and.
I
So-
don't. don't have anything. I'm like so frazzled from this client project right now that I'm not going to contribute much except to like insert little things here and there. That's all I got today.
Consider it a break. Consider it just taking a little break from.
I'm just hanging out with you guys, and
yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I was incredibly sick last week, and
Yeah, it was.
oh my god,
Dave was pooping in the bucket again.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't
Why would
coming
he
out
be
that
pooping in a bucket?
Yeah, I was
Because
puking.
Liam left him a bucket, right? I don't know.
So the thing is that it was like it was progressively getting worse as the show went on, and it was like torture. And I was like, man, like I've been waiting to have this episode with Brandon, and now I'm like not even asking any questions. I'm just sitting here sweating. So
Sweat it out.
I was like, dude, you got to come
because
back.
the
on
interview
show.
was so intense.
Yeah,
it
it
was
was.
sweat.
awesome.
It was.
So
it was
good.
very.
So we've got like some really great stuff to talk about, some new stuff. We've got so many links and stuff to talk about this week. So strap in and
Strap in.
There was a poll that was on Twitter last week about what we wanted to talk about, and I think painting tips won. So we're going to talk about painting tips
Yep.
today.
Yep.
No,
This is really good. I'm really excited with this new house that I'm getting. I think painting tips is going to be like a really good thing to
your
talk about.
brand new house, you're going to paint it.
No. That was good.
Thanks, guys. I'll take it from here. So,
Dude, if I could have said that, never mind.
okay. So tell me what actually won the poll.
What actually won by 34% was Unreal, and then 32% was how I painted my house. 18% was. I know you gotta love it. 18% Unity 2018.1 SRP. That's scriptable render pipeline HD pipe, which is the new high fidelity pipe for Unity, and
I know
then
some
Touch
of the
Designer was
tools.
16. Yes, and why that is important is so cool. So we'll get into all of it.
All
We're
right.
just gonna do
This
all of it
is
except
going
for
to
the
be
painting.
the goes over my head show, like the above my pay grade goes over things that go over my head.
Welcome
No,
to
no.
every episode I've
Every
ever
episode.
been on.
Yeah, it's literally like a lateral shift. So it's like what we know and we focus on, it's going to be a little to the side. So like you'll I mean, once you get into those types of projects, you'll totally understand it. It's just going to be
If I get into those types of projects.
if you get into those types of projects. Yeah.
What
I
you
don't
got
know.
to
I
do
may-
is
I may
David,
rate
you
you
got to
guys.
do projects that make you uncomfortable.
Mhm.
I'm definitely doing that right now, and
Exactly.
I don't know if I love it, honestly. I mean, it's a necessity for sure to get better,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I hate it. And I mean, I don't know. Just after this, I'm like, just give me something that I've done before exactly that I can
Can I get some
check out on.
space stuff,
Can I
please?
just get some more space stuff, please?
Yeah.
No
Well,
more
I'm
melting
actually I'm
ice cave.
working on something too, just to kind of get me out of my comfort zone a little bit. I just decided to do something
Mitch is
for fun.
uncomfortable all the time.
Yeah. Oh, Mitch
Might want
is
to get
in
that
here.
checked out, bro.
Oh, fire!
I mean, that's the cool thing about Slack, though, too, is that you can kind of throw up questions like that in different channels and get some great responses back from people. So
That's true. And
Yeah.
actually Grant is in the chat and he's going to help me on this melting stuff that is very outside my comfort zone because it's going to have to be in Houdini.
Dude,
so
nice.
yeah,
You got a good
he's
Houdini community.
genius.
Is that
Yeah.
G-Rant or is that a different Grant?
Grant? Duh.
Okay.
Is
There's
there
like
a
12
Grant?
of them.
Oh snap!
There's a
I
Grant
only know the
channel
one.
now in
serious?
Slack. Yes.
No way.
Everybody was changing their name to Grant the other day, talking about
Wait, wasn't
garlic
everybody
shrimp.
changing their name to? Oh, they were changing their name to Grant. That's what.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I came into that late, and yeah, Billy was like, "David's gonna come in here and be like, what the hell?" Because everybody just
Yeah,
changed
and
their
then
names.
people started changing their avatar as well. You
That's
know, and
hilarious,
it's like
yeah.
it threw
Yeah.
everything off. You couldn't, you had no idea. Oh, 4/28 is Grant Day,
All right.
by the way. April
Wait,
28th.
why?
Because
Is it
that's
birthday?
just the day that everyone
I thought
turns
there
into
was
Grant.
Okay.
Oh,
We'll remember it
because-
next year.
Oh, next year. I gotcha. Okay. So I'm working on a project to go out of my comfort zone right now, just for fun. I just decided I was gonna do like a VFX shot, just for fun, just to see if I could. So I put my Mavic Pro in a FPV mode, so that like the gimbal doesn't actually float. It locks, so when you turn and make turns and rotate around and all that, it kind of follows. So it's kind of like action-y.
No, he just keeps talking. That's his internet does that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
potatoes.
So all you have to do is just wait a few seconds if you think that
He'll come back.
Dave has
It's a
dead.
bandwidth issue.
Just fill it in. Fill it in with whatever he said.
Yeah,
I just
I'll
heard
fix that
like banana, potato, and then he's back.
As soon as I start streaming, Skype just has issues, but that's to be expected because it is Skype. Anyway, so the Mavic Pro, I put in FPV mode, so it kind of looked like these action sequency turns. The camera was moving with the drone rather than staying flat on the gimbal. And I got this shot going over a highway, and it goes like down. What I'm going to do with that is basically put like a big mech robot-y thing on the highway.
Nice.
And he's fighting off cars and stuff. But of course, the first thing I have to do is make the cars
he's going to
kind
fight
of
off
stop.
cars? Oh, damn.
Yeah,
dude.
so I've got to make the cars stop, right? So the first thing I had to do was to replace the part of the road where the robot's going to be and all the cars going up to it, because they're going to stop. And there's going to be maybe some police cars and stuff. So I was time with Mocha. He went through and painstakingly like erased all of the road.
Oh, man.
Leading up to it, and it worked really well. Mocha Import Plus for that is the best.
It's super great.
It's
I used that on a project that we did for like some movie. We got hired to do some VFX stuff, and I had to. So basically, they had a statue in this corner area of a wall, and
is that movie out yet?
I don't know if it is.
Are we allowed to talk about it yet?
I don't know. I don't think so, because we signed an NDA. Anyway.
Oh, so maybe you can't say what it is.
Be very discreet.
Well, I mean, there was a statue that they wanted out, and they wanted to replace it with wallpaper and stuff, because apparently there's a copyright on a statue, which was weird. So anyway, yeah,
because it's
Import
art.
Plus, dude. Yeah.
No, it says the movie's already out.
It is?
Yeah, it says May 22nd, 2018.
Oh.
Oh, no,
Wait.
wait. Is it, what month is this?
This is May.
So it's not out yet.
It's not out.
No. I was,
Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's about to come out, so.
Ooh. Ooh.
Anyway.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Just hold on tight, folks. It's going to be like this the whole show.
Yeah.
So what else do we have on here? Okay, so yeah, sick. I took CBD oil and I feel a lot better. I used Veronica. Did we talk about Veronica?
No.
Veronica from NAB. So Matthias had this like back massager or something that he brought, and he named it Veronica.
Shoulder massager.
His shoulder massager or whatever. And so
It's the
like
best.
He ended up selling like 4 people on it, and like we all bought one.
No way. You guys all bought one? That's hilarious.
Oh yeah, I totally bought one.
Is it really good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I bought one. Dave bought one. I know.
You're sure it's a shoulder massager there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that this particular device would be able to be used for anything else.
Okay. I get you.
It's like this wide thing with these. It's got these rotating things on it.
Body massage machine, go, says
Who wants a
Liam.
body massage?
Body massage.
It's Veronica
Actually,
though, so it's like, who wants a body massage?
Yeah. So Chelsea took me to a salon the other day to get a haircut, which I desperately needed, though not enough to de-Jesusify, just enough to clean up the Jesus a bit. And there was this epic full body massager there that they had named, the salon had named Tyrone. So I got to experience Tyrone.
All right.
It like squeezes the crap out of your arms to the point where it almost feels like it's gonna break your limbs in half. It's kind of scary. And but yeah, it gets your calves and it even gets a little inappropriate and like kind of gives you a booty massage, and it's pretty weird. I was like,
Nice.
I was like laughing as this was happening in the middle of the salon. I'm like, you guys, this thing's getting inappropriate.
Better call
Tyrone
Tyrone.
less than me.
Yeah, this is the who makes this? TrueMedic, the IS3000 Pro
Oh my gosh.
Shiatsu neck and back
official
massager with heat.
Brograph massager.
It's the best. Oh my gosh, because the problem with massagers is somebody else has to push it on your shoulder, right? So that you can do it without anybody,
Right.
because it has these arm straps and you pull down and it drives it into your shoulder.
Wow.
And it just sits there grinding the knots out. It's the best. If you
How
have
much
knots,
does this thing cost?
this site is $169, but I think Amazon I got it for a lot cheaper than that. So
You can get
It was
it
like
at
$110.
Costco for $100.
yeah,
It says, does it come with Bose headphones?
no, but you could wear your Bose headphones while you're
Your
using it,
comfort
which I've done
select,
before. It's the best. It really
Yeah.
is the best. Like if you need something like that, I'm recommending it right now. So we should put it in Brograph recommends. That's the other thing is we didn't do Brograph recommends with you last
that's
week.
true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So anyway, feeling better, feeling good. Shaved. Shaved my beard. I don't know. I'm just coming up with things to say.
With
Put the
things to
beard butter
say.
in. That's another
The
product
beard
recommend. The beard
No.
butter.
What
If
does
you
that
haven't used
do
beard
exactly? Does that
Oh,
like?
dude,
I don't understand.
it helps you keep it nice and moisturized, and it helps you comb it, like
I
kind of
might-
conditions
I
it.
might need that.
And
I might
I'm
actually. That's like that beard butter. I'm peacing out. No,
I
I mean
just thought I'd go off on another tangent.
San Diego is very dry, and my skin gets pretty extremely. Yeah, I mean, I lived in Virginia all my life. I'm like, what is this dry, flaky skin that's going on? I just don't understand. But yeah, I think I need some beard butter, bro.
Dude, get some beard butter. It's the best. The beard butter is the best on Brograph. Is that enough alliteration for you?
Beard
Let's move on to some
butter.
motion graphics.
Battlestar
Three says, what's this show about?
Yes.
Dude,
We don't
we
know.
don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know anymore. All right, so a couple other random things to talk about before we get into the meat of the show, so to speak. First of all, live streams this week. We're going to have a Wednesday and Thursday live stream. Wednesday Octane, Thursday Redshift. By the way, what I was going to say last week is when I was doing a live stream a couple weeks ago, I was really struggling with this awful model I was building. I'm sure everybody's laughing at me, but I was building this film reel, and when I was working on it, I was using a little bool, and I was like, man, I wish you could set these things by default, because when we were at NAB, Chris Schmidt was doing his 50 things, that he usually does, like a new 50 things every
that he
time,
do.
the fast things. He was talking about bools, I think this is Chris, and how you should have all of these things set by default.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, I wish this could be just set by default. And Billy was watching, and he was like, dude, all you have to do is set your stuff, and you go up to the menu, and you do set defaults, and it makes that tool.
Oh,
those
is
defaults.
that
I was
re-
like, I never
Oh.
see that before.
Yeah.
That's
it's
amazing.
awesome.
I never
Mhm.
do that, but I should. Yeah.
Especially bulls,
Yeah.
because you're always going to turn on everything with bulls.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a great tip, actually. You
Yeah.
can do that with X particles and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
Yeah. So if you don't like the indicator that's in the live or in the viewport, you can turn it off and set it as default.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Very nice.
So,
I've been doing some cool X particles Beeple techniques. Beeple actually helped me on something. So I don't know if
Really?
you've seen this one look from one of his project files. It's called Cut with many T's, but it kind of looks Dr. Seussy. It's like all these columns that are really organic looking. And I'm doing these ice caves, right? And I wanted a similar look to put in front of the client. But I just needed, I needed to figure out how to do that. I didn't know how to, I don't know how to model stuff at all, obviously. So turns out it was just X particles, and he just cloned a bunch of cubes, just like duplicated cubes. And as long as they've got some subdivisions and you have the smoothing up enough on the X particle skinner, it'll turn all these crappy cubes into really beautiful looking organic geometry. So that was a really fun process to
That's
create
super cool.
those caves. Yeah.
I was
Was it
just looking
Did
at
you guys
it
look it
on
up?
Vimeo. Yeah, I didn't know how many T's, so I put a whole bunch of T's.
Whole
and
bunch
then
of
just,
T's.
I just backspaced each T until I got. It's 3 T's, by the way.
Did you use
three
the
T's,
skinner? Or did you use the skinner, or did you use the
Skinner?
VDB mesher?
I tried the VDB mesher, and actually it gives two. It's too good. It gives too
It's too
tight
good.
of a mesh. Like, I like the looseness of the mesh. You can really up the smoothing, and it'll take just the crappy cubes and turn it into this like very liquidy looking geometry.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for these kind of more procedural ways to model stuff. Like I just want to cheat in everything that I ever do. So this was awesome and perfect. So, shout out to people for helping me on that. But yeah, and the other weird thing about the OpenVDB mesher is that when it wouldn't let me live view the updates. So every time I duplicated a cube, I wouldn't see it update unless I toggled it on and back on, off and back on. So that was super frustrating in terms of trying to art direct the scene. I don't know why that was, whether it's a bug or whether it got fixed in the latest.
There is a setting that John Bosley was talking about in the intro of his Grayscale Gorilla thing that I swore had something to do with that.
Okay, cool.
It may just be the way that it executes. Like you may have to like put your timeline back and then go forward a frame, and then like it'll execute. It'll run that command.
That might be true. Yeah, and that's not hard to access. That's true because I've just got those set to Q and W. I remap all the shortcuts, but that's easier to access with my left hand there. So yeah, that's a good idea.
Do you think priorities would have anything to do with that?
I doubt it. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
yeah, 531 Liam in the chat. He was talking about the fact that you can look through a light. Have you ever done that?
Yep. Yeah.
Just do that in Maya all the time.
Weirdly, I have not done that since I used physical. I don't know why. I just used target.
Well, because you're just kind of like looking at live feedback now with Octane most of the time. It's like you can see what the light is doing.
I think it works better with spotlights where you can know for a fact where it's going to hit directionally. Like, if that makes sense. Like when you look through a spotlight, you're like, okay, if I move to this part of my subject, then I know that the light is going to be casting directly onto this. Whereas with an area light, it's not quite, it's a little more loose. So I think that once Octane gets, if you're using obviously the Brograph plugin, then that would make sense. But yeah, once Octane gets built-in spotlights or whatever and invalidates your existence, then back to looking through the lights.
Better start working on a new plugin.
Yeah, totally.
All right. What else we got here? Okay, Slack. Don't forget to get on our Slack channel, by the way. Check that out, brograph.com/Slack.
How the hell does Merk Vilson create so many goddamn plugins?
I know.
He's like building some kind of megalopolis, like with the topo wire and the topo former and then this and that. Like when you combine all of his plugins, you're going to be able to just instant one-click generate some kind of super futuristic, amazing thing.
I started yesterday working on a crappy daily generator. Just to be stupid, I was just messing around, and I was like, man, I really need that. So I actually have like an alpha of his plugin because I wanted to put it in there and like have it like just generate random geometry and then put it into my crappy daily generator. It just puts like a giant sphere and just random geometry and a landscape object.
Random geometry as a giant light, right?
Yes, that too. Because I just wanted like random shapes and stuff. So I was like, this is perfect for that. So I'm a member of his Patreon. So I have the alpha, and I was
there's a Discord as well.
Billy Chitkin said Merk is a simulated AI.
It's so true.
He's Kubernetes.
Bringing it back to what was that, like several episodes ago?
Yeah. He is the actual Kubernetes. That's his name.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that was good. That was real good, Dave. Well done.
So, anyway, what's some other things? Oh, on the Slack, they haven't really started it yet, but they're tossing around this idea of something called Brochain, which is like a kind of a project where one person does something and then passes it to the next person and so on. So if you're in Slack, check that out. I don't think it's really started to go anywhere yet, but I think they're working on the rules. Slack has a mind of its own now, by the way. So I mean, we don't even set that up. Also, by the way, speaking of Slack, Tokyo Megaplex, he has released his short film.
So good.
Really good.
Zone.
I gotta check it out.
Zone. Check that out. School project. And there's so many questions I have, and I'm going to have to ask him on the Slack about like how he did everything and how he rendered it and what programs he used and all that kind of stuff. So we'll put a link to that in show notes.
I love the stop motion section because he's got this like displacement or bump that's animating on every frame. I think that's such a cool look because it looks legit like stop motion. Yeah.
Like the first season of Home Movies on Adult Swim.
Right. Also, I love the scene in the end where it's like a shark head that's all weird cartoony, and then it switches to the realistic shark randomly. Just like little visual comedy elements like that are super awesome. So yeah, he's going.
I didn't even notice that.
You didn't notice that?
Wow, you're right.
I like it. Hey man, can I have a slice of your pizza? That was good. That was real good.
Oh yeah, he's drinking it.
I love that he's going in this very different, ambitious direction from everyone else. You know, he's like going for these like full-on short films that are, you know, comedy based. I think that's really cool.
I love the look of the characters too. They're all different. They all have something cool about them. I like the guy who asked the guy for the slice of pizza with like the long head, like flips back when he talks.
Yeah, and the subsurface scattering on his head is really good.
Oh yeah, that's true. There's a lot. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again now and notice all the little things.
Yeah,
I mean, it was inspired by Newgrounds.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, this stuff is great. You know him like. Does he have a YouTube channel or does he have?
I think this is his first major endeavor because this was kind of his film coming out of college.
Yeah,
is my understanding. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see more along those lines from him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's the one in the limo that's doing the dance across
Which one?
from Liam.
Oh, Liam.
Yeah. So, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, I was going to mention. I don't know if we mentioned this on the show yet. That we're also selling French Monkeys plugins on our site now.
Sweet.
Talk about that yet?
I think we mentioned it. We mentioned we were going to do it, and then like NAB came along, and we threw a tweet out, you know, back then. But I don't know if we've mentioned it again. But yeah, we are now officially selling the French Monkey stuff. So if you need to pick up anything from the French Monkey, make sure to go through our site because we get a small portion of it.
And there's going to be some more Pixel Lab stuff coming out too as soon as I get around to posting that. So we're going to have a lot of stuff in the store. Check that out. And y'all see the new Childish Gambino video yet?
No, what's that?
What did you say? What's that? Okay, Brandon, you and I can just talk about Childish Gambino instead.
Yeah,
these guys don't know anything about the greatness.
I know. Yeah, he's amazing. Like we were talking before that he kind of defines himself as this like kind of liquid kind of artist, like he does acting and then he's back to music and he doesn't really define what he's doing. He just kind of creates, and I think that's amazing.
He's career fluid.
Yeah, exactly. Career fluid.
Yeah, there you go.
But he's super talented, and I love seeing people like that kind of breaking barriers and genres.
Wasn't this guy in one of these? No, I was going to say
he's in Atlanta.
Spider-Man. Maybe.
Yeah, he was. He was.
He was in what space movie was he in? The Mars thing. With
oh yeah, the Martian.
The Martian.
The Martian.
Yeah, really weird.
The Mars
role.
thing.
Yeah, it was. It was like he was playing Abed's character from Community. In that movie, that's what I thought.
But like I thought he was gonna have a bigger role. Like they woke him up, and it was like you thought maybe he was gonna save the day or something. But then they didn't really like come back to him that much. It's really weird.
Brandon, how are you? Like Brandon's like sneakily writing comments in the chat too, like what he's thinking. It's rather than just saying it. He's in multiple places
you can mention
the
comments if you want. It's okay. Here's the thing about the new video. Besides the fact besides the weirdness and craziness of the video itself, I think it was Mark Cernosia this morning who was writing, like, this is why you don't put grain on a video that's going to be on YouTube, because the compression is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should almost have a separate YouTube version without grain if you're going to release something like that. Or, I mean, where is that video going to play, honestly, besides the internet? Is MTV around anymore?
So you think that the grain actually makes the compression worse? Because
you should see it. You should see it. It's bad.
I guess the grain makes everything in the image high frequency detail, so it doesn't know where to put the compression. Is that the idea?
Right? It confuses it, so it's just not sure. And not only that, but it's not going to look. It's also going to be a bigger file technically, probably in the end, because if it's variable compression, it's just.
I bet grain would actually be an interesting way to control the compression. Like if you really want some detail on something, you put grain in just that area and then it focuses on that.
That is an interesting concept. Okay. Time for experiments now.
Sweet.
Just say, do you ever see that guy who compressed something on YouTube and then he would download it and he would compress it again?
Yeah.
And download it again over and over through YouTube until it was like so bad it was just blocks.
That's awesome. And now it's a new form of art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to some Ravcock. What's your flavor?
What's your flavor? Brandon's still confused on that one.
I have no idea.
I got no idea what's going on.
Redshift, Arnold, V-Ray, Cycles, Octane, Corona. Nailed it.
Nice.
Ding. There's still some others we're missing.
There are many others, but that acronym is easy to say, Ravcock.
That's what we started with.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I like that. So the funny thing about the Brograph podcast to me, after like listening, so many times, is there are just certain things that we say every single time that become almost hypnotic. Like I get them stuck in my head later, like the intro with your, I couldn't say it off the top of my head, but when you say it, I'm like, yeah. Or not even the music, but when he's doing his like intro rant where he isn't supposed to breathe, and then the ending too. Like the ending gets stuck in my head, and it's like, I don't know. It's just really funny to me.
That's funny.
You guys are like totally brainwashing everyone subversively without even realizing it.
Well, some of the phrases and stuff too, when we were doing the podcast live and everybody watching was like saying it along with us. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's crazy, yo. We're creating memes.
Yeah, we're
dank
memes.
Dank memes.
All right, so in Ravcock, I got some good stuff today. First of all, I just wanted to bring this up before we go anywhere. Octane, I'm having issues still with 3.08, and I'm sticking with 3.07 for a while. How about
really?
You guys?
What are the issues you're having?
Yeah.
I just get a lot of weird stuff. No, number one, with client projects, we're going back and forth between stuff, and it's like, okay, I have someone come back on a project from 4 weeks ago. They need me to re-render something. I re-render it, and then all of a sudden the bevels on this thing are black. And I'm like, what is going on? And I end up spending hours trying to figure this out. And I'm like, oh, it's a 3.08 issue because I upgraded that render machine. And I have to roll it back. I have crashing problems. I have color problems. Was
it not just like Ray Epsilon or some weird setting, or I don't know?
No, I mean, not changing things, like opening old projects. I think that's
one thing that has changed for sure is the color profiles. So sRGB is the default now, but you can easily switch back to whatever color profile you had before.
Now, are you starting? Well, you can't go backwards.
Oh, right.
Maybe that's sRGB. And you go back to 3.07.
And you go back. Yeah, that makes sense.
But the thing is, okay, are you sticking with sRGB now as a default with 3.08, or are you going to linear?
I never do linear because I'm stupid. But I never do linear because I like to grade in the IPR, and I like 3.08 because it has custom LUTs, and I like to use a profile in addition to a custom LUT and combine those together and view through that.
Right.
And just in general use it, and just bake that into the renders, because then I don't have to do color grading or make any decisions afterwards. So yeah, I mean, that's just how I roll, I guess. And it hasn't really bit me in the ass yet. So it's all good. Yet.
What about those network rendering issues that we were having during the beta phase?
I don't do network rendering. That's my secret.
You don't, but you have a whole bunch of machines, right?
Yeah,
or at least a couple
use them
machines.
Each individually, because then I can work on each machine and render on each machine. And when I network render, then all the computers are tied together and I can't keep working,
Right.
I've got a laptop, but it's not, and the 980M is not enough for the scenes that I've been doing lately to make any kind of decisions, or it's just, like beating your head against the wall waiting for that stuff. So,
Right.
Deadline.
Yeah, exactly.
Deadline.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of that stuff was over my head. So can you explain to me exactly what Deadline does? Like, it just manages your renders, or like?
Did you not listen to last week's episode?
I did, but I didn't understand. I feel like you skipped for the super noobs. I feel like you guys skipped what the hell Deadline even is or does,
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. It's basically a mapped location, like an actual literal location on your hard drive where you're going to be working from. And then it can manage that through a Mongo database and communicate with your slaves. So instead of like, let's see, with like distributed rendering, like with Octane, it basically will use something a little bit more elegant and kind of like talk to all your machines and manage a job better. So it takes all the frustration out of your DCC and puts it somewhere else. So
can you tell it which computers are like, does it have to render using all GPUs at once, or can you untick certain computers, or what's the deal?
Yeah, you can have like full customization on your slaves. I actually still have it running now. So last week we were talking about it and I had it running and it's still running. So it's like I just pile on jobs, and per job you can have these tasks and orient like your computers to those tasks. So like if you want if you want your main station rendering most of the work to speed up the time, then you can do that. So it's so
can
flexible.
you choose like specific, like, so how in Octane you've got the ability to tick or untick certain GPUs. Can you just assign, like, I want 3 out of the 4 GPUs doing this and that? Does it take over that functionality from Octane?
Yeah, technically this is what I've read, but I've never been able, I've only had it for a short time to be able to test. But technically, say you have 4 GPUs in your workstation, you can delegate a frame per GPU instead of having like your whole computer tackle a frame.
Interesting.
Which I think, I don't know efficiency wise if that's a little bit better, but I think if you broke down the numbers, I think you'd be shaving off time doing that. But
really,
again, I don't,
So do you use it with Octane or do you use it with Redshift?
I use it with Redshift and Cinema 4D, and I'm going to soon be testing with Octane. I feel like Octane right now is still kind of like in this like transition. So once it kind of comes over to 4 and we start testing that out, then I'll probably release a video with that. Because I think if I did it right now, then it may be a little broken for those who are moving on to newer versions.
Yeah, I'll let you do the crazy groundwork on that kind of stuff, because that's what the Brandon Clements does. I'll wait until the tutorial comes out that tells me all is clear, because I don't know. It's the technical stuff is not. I don't really push the boundaries with that as much. I'm not as interested in that, I guess. But if it's something that's like a pretty clear-cut solution that's going to save my ass and make things a lot easier, then for sure I'll adopt it.
And Billy said, imagine having an interface where you can tick on and off jobs and machines, reorder, pause, restart. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thanks, Billy. That's like way more clear than what I said.
Does it do like interleaving? Remember that Mimbe, Dave, you're one of your big qualms with C4D is that you can't do frames 1, 5.
Oh, yes, specific frames with commas.
Can you do that?
Yeah, because you could tick them on as like different jobs, so you could issue those as different jobs, or you could do the same thing with like 1, 5, dash.
Yes.
Oh, that's
what
right.
I want.
That's
cool. That's what I want.
Yeah.
All right, you're selling me a little bit more than last week. All right.
Yes, sir. I'll get you there. I mean, it's transformed how the way I do jobs, and like I said, with this moving and like painting and all this shit, like that's been happening at my place. Like, it's made life a lot better and less stressful.
Nice.
Sweet.
Cool. So throw that back to the community. Hopefully you guys love it too.
Absolutely. Other Ravcock stuff.
David,
that's weird.
Your audio just went weird.
Your audio just went back to your other mic.
Oh, what the hell?
Are you still recording? Make sure you're still recording.
1 sec.
Yeah, just make sure your podcast recording is good.
That it just stopped. It didn't stop. No.
BT dubs, I'm still working with Amazon and ThinkBox on the AWS thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right,
it's going to be a video that will be much more informative.
ThinkBox started following us on Twitter.
Dude, they are so nice, man. Like, it's crazy. Like, they're so nice. Like, I don't know. It's I've never seen whoever's doing their outreach or their social is killing it right now because they're so awesome. Like, they're just great.
David, we're in a pause here for the audio version. How's your
What's
recording?
going on? Can you guys hear me right now?
Well, you
Yeah,
sound like
but-
you're on your other mic.
Yeah.
I pulled the cord out of my mic.
Oh,
Way to go.
And it stopped recording in Audition as well. So I've restarted
That's
it.
all right.
No.
that's all right.
Yeah.
Just
Screwed that one up. Screwed the pooch on that one. But let
but
me.
you still have the recording from the beginning, right?
Yes,
It didn't,
I do.
okay.
Yes. No,
All
it
right.
didn't.
You're
It
good.
didn't die. So, but the thing is, I've got Skype doesn't let me switch in the middle of our
Old Skype does. You guys
I
should
know.
download old
new
Skype.
Skype is bullshit. So I gotta hang up real quick and get back on with you guys so I can switch the audio settings.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, bye.
And now you're going to have to redo the whole layout and everything because everyone's going
No.
to be too big.
No, he'll come back in just fine.
Walk down to Electric Avenue.
Oh
that's
no. I'll work on fixing this in the meantime because this needs to be. There we go. Get ready for the 3 because I think he's gonna have to take off at some point. So
All right, I'm back. Is that better?
Yes.
Cool.
Much better.
don't see
I don't
you yet,
see you,
so
though.
I'll be back. Oh no, I'm here.
There we go.
There I am.
There you are. I want to talk to Samson.
Let me do the moon.
All right. Cool. And
All
I
right.
think I'm still recording with the Yeti in Audition because when I tap on it, things happen. So
All right, let's do
Yeah,
another sync
much
real
better.
quick. You ready for the clap?
Do all
Yes.
3 of us need to do a sync?
Yes.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
cool. I'll try not to, slump into my microphone cord
All right.
again.
So good on all the stuff and things. Okay.
So real quick, this is a total aside, but so I was on the Kit Bash 3D stream,
Mhm.
and it was real fun, and I felt super out of my depth because I was with Max Berman, who's like this master map painter, and we were all judging the Kit Bash 3D contest entries, and he was like talking about like, oh yeah, this one creates like a beautiful triangle and gets that triangle composition where it just leads your eye in a loop around the image, and this one, because the horizon is set high and the characters are low, this makes you feel like the characters are insignificant, and I'm like, whoa, like just
You're like,
Totally.
I really like this color.
yeah, exactly.
This
I'm
one
like,
is pretty.
I'm like,
I like
this
turtles.
lighting. I like turtles.
I like turtles.
That's the second time that's been on a live stream this week. If you call it Liam's turtle live stream.
So after all of this, I had to go and do like a kind of tutorial on this lunar colony look that I had made with their Kit Bash. And halfway through, my voice, like I couldn't hear this, but my voice got the creepy, like serial killer vibe.
All right.
You know the one in Rec Room VR where you turn on the super deep voice and it's like, hey guys. Blah, blah, blah. So if you listen back to the stream, it's like completely distorted and what's that, Dave? You there?
I said you're Cyloning. I think that's what they call it. on
Oh,
TikTok.
Cyloning. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beats Bears Battlestar Galactica.
False.
Bears Beats. That's the one. Anyway,
All right.
I just thought that was funny.
All right, here's some interesting stuff. Didn't mention last week. I hung out with Ri-Fi for his birthday, and we were sitting there nerding out about Octane and things. And so maybe you guys already know this, and I don't. But in Octane, first of all, when you do an emission texture, let's just say you do a blank emission texture, and you turn up the power. Let's say you make it red. Okay, and then you turn up the power. What's the first thing that happens in even in your preview? You get the weird speckly pink dotty things.
Yeah,
noise.
but that's why you use Gaussian spectrum rather than an RGB spectrum.
Now,
and then turn on saturate to white. That'll get rid of the speckly.
Here's something interesting that he showed me, and he's actually thinking about doing a tutorial about this. And here's the deal. If you take your power, instead of upping your power, you take your power down to 0.25.
That's a random number.
All right. And then, well, he did a little research on this, I think. So you put your power on 0.25, then go into your distribution and put a float texture in there.
Mm-hmm.
And use the float texture then to adjust the brightness. You put it to the same brightness, and that noise is not there.
Oh, that's interesting.
And my question is why? Like, it's night and day.
I've used distribution, and you know how there's a distribution slot and a texture slot?
Yeah.
When I was making those really, really small lights for the God rays and for hard shadows, when you make a light smaller, it naturally gets darker. But then if you want to boost the power, then at some point, the slider runs out and you can't drive the numbers past that. Mm-hmm. But the distribution... I don't
use surface brightness anyway. I always turn it off.
You always turn it off?
Yeah.
That's probably a good call. But I like the lights to be a little more physically accurate, and if you leave it like that, then I guess it is, but whatever. I'm not really sure whether that matters or not. But my point is that you can add in a float to either the texture or the distribution to overdrive those values and add additional power. Like that could also be useful if you've got a light that's super, super far away that you want to act almost like a sunlight and it's kind of small. And even with surface brightness off, at some point, if you want to keep those hard shadows and boost a lot of light in and it's far away, you can't do that unless you add that float texture into the distribution or the texture slot. And then you can boost it that much. So yeah, that's cool.
You should try if anyone has Octane open, just try it real quick. Put power at 0.25, put the float in the distribution, and look at the difference in the emission. It is incredible. And I was like, dude, this is like really interesting, and I want to know why.
Right.
Because all of that noise is gone. It's really crazy. So
I usually don't see that noise when I use saturate to white. It kind of like when those highlights are revealed, then there's some noise there. But then when you up the saturate to white, usually it goes away. But yeah, I'll check that. Not on this computer that I'm recording on.
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
By the way, I put this in Ravcot because it's kind of applies to Octane and stuff. But Polygon is doing nature scans now. Did you see that?
I did. It's really cool.
So it's like the mega scans thing, kind of, But if you already have an account, it's, not free. But if you already have an account, then you can get those, and you're not having to. Because honestly, the packages on mega scans are pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So check that out. And then here's one that the French Monkey brought up on the Facebook Octane group this week. He was asking about the new image textures, the new channel format, and what the different words mean in there besides float. Or not, but float 32-bit, half is 16-bit, and UINT is 8-bit. I don't know why it's called UINT.
Unit?
UINT.
I've seen that in a lot of other softwares, especially like in some of these different game engines and stuff, just different softwares I'll use. It's a little bit different vocabulary, but I think it's a little more clear that that's just going to be, 256 like possible colors. So it's like an integer. I don't know what the U stands for.
Yeah, that's weird. But interesting because I guess he brought up a good point. There was no documentation on exactly what that was, but Ahmed clarified that. And the big thing that I wanted to talk about, which Brandon, you hinted at, it might have been off air last week, is that the Substance Painter live link for Octane and Cinema 4D is almost out, which is going to be super cool. I've used Substance Designer a lot. I haven't messed with Substance Painter much, but that sounds really, really cool. Oh, Electric Oven in the chat says unsigned integer.
Yes, that's what it is. I was just looking it up. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm getting something really weird. I was trying to adding an RGB spectrum into either the texture or distribution, and it literally won't work. It won't let me add that anymore. It just blanks out. Yeah, so I don't know if that's a bug or whether Amit was just like, this is not supposed to go into this field.
Right.
Like, I'll see if it works with Gaussian spectrum.
Yeah. So are we basically saying with the distribution and the float texture there, that's basically probably just controlling the light, right? It's like a more defined like shape of the light in the distribution with the float texture, just driving that?
I guess so, rather than, that's what I'm trying to figure out, is what is it doing that power doesn't do? I
would say that it's somehow or managing like the pattern or like the throw instead of just like increasing just the overall emission like through the power. I don't know. It seems like it could. I mean, obviously it works and it's really.
I mean, okay,
way more beneficial. But
I got it working just now, but I don't know how to replicate the situation you're talking about where you're seeing a lot of noise because of the RGB spectrum.
Okay, so you've got an emission texture in, right?
Oh, I put in a light. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be an emission texture.
So what? Just put it on a cube or something?
Yeah, and you don't... Yeah. Just put it like on a cube and then drive it up to... Just drive up the power and you'll see like the nasty, noisy garbage, especially if you're using like a red. The reds are always like, you know, pretty noisy like that, pretty quick. So do that and just see what it looks like and then bring it back down.
Put an RGB spectrum into the distribution, right?
No. Put a float texture into the distribution.
I know, but so you're saying, okay, so I've got an emission, I've got a black body emission. Do you want me to use emission texture or black body emission?
Use black body emission.
Okay, and then just make it really red.
And just make it red and drive up the power and look how noisy it is.
Okay.
Because that's the first thing that happens. And it happens quick. That's the other thing. Mm-hmm. It's like very, very, I don't know. It's very quick to just go off the deep end with the noise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So once you do that, then you take it back down the power to 0.25 and put that float texture in the distribution instead. And when you drive that up, you get the same brightness, you get that same level of brightness coming off the emission texture, but you don't have all that crazy noise coming from it.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, you can keep,
Nothing. I'm just not seeing the noise. Even when I drive up the power, it's not that bad. And I mean, like if you give it a bit more samples, it just smooths out. So I'm not really seeing what you're seeing.
I'll have to show you an example. We'll look at it. I'll send you an example file or something.
I have seen that in the past, but maybe
3.08. It doesn't happen anymore.
Maybe, I don't know. We should do some tests later. This is
also
wasting.
yeah. UINT is kind of like what I said. There's only 256 combination, so that's really the unsigned number or integer only means there can be 256 combinations.
Gotcha.
Just looked it up for those out there who were curious. There you go.
So let's talk about the topic winner from your Twitter, which is Unreal. Are we going to talk about some Unreal today?
Yeah,
let's do it. Real quick, though, can we do a couple more?
You have more Ravcock.
I do. So real quick. So I guess this is sort of Octane, sort of general C4D stuff, but one of my buddies sent me this crazy set of Octane and C4D talks from all of the most genius people in China, like Louis Orton and Xiaolin Zhang and Ligo Zhang and Somei Sun. I probably butchered some of their names, but I put that link. I sent that link to you, Dave. So obviously it's going to be like a lot of stuff in Chinese, but you can follow along. Like you guys have seen those like OnePlus ads, right? The OnePlus phone.
Yeah, the phone. Yeah,
those are super amazingly clean. So there's some talks on that, and then there's also the guy that did the Pause Fest titles, and then more recently, just like a couple days ago, the Ash Thorpe collaboration for Akira.
Yeah.
So that guy's that's so good. Xiaolin Zhang. So so there are talks from all those guys on this thing. So I think that's a really good resource, and I'm gonna churn through those as soon as I get the time. So there's that. And then I also stumbled on these really cool standalone Octane tutorials, which is weird because I don't use standalone, but this guy's using it for concept art and for paint overs. So it's like a really interesting perspective. And he goes into some really advanced looking stuff. It's this guy named Julian Gauthier. So check that out. That'll be in there as well. And then in general, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, did we talk about the viewport rendering mode either last week or the week before, where you get that overlay over
We haven't
top
talked about
blocking?
it much.
It's pretty amazing. Like, so Brandon, do you know what I'm speaking of at all?
Sorry, I spaced. What'd you say?
That's okay. That's okay.
Pull me back in.
It's this new mode in Octane that is an overlay on your viewport, so you don't actually have to use a live viewer.
Oh,
It
yeah.
lets you navigate fully in C4D with like the 1, 2, and 3 keys, like you'd expect, and also has an outline mode when you select objects, which is pretty awesome.
It was in the Maya plugin.
It was the Maya plugin, and I think
Yeah.
Ahmet saw that and added it recently
Yeah.
What a
to the
dude.
C4D one. What a dude!
Yeah.
And so it's really, really cool. The only things that I would want for it are, it doesn't have all the versatility of the live viewer. Like, it doesn't do the compare modes that I use constantly to check before and afters and do those A/B wipes and some other stuff like that. I don't think it displays your GPU info either. So there are certain things that I would want. I would want the functionality to be just as good as live viewer before I adopt using only that thing. But it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we've always wanted for Octane since day one is
Right.
like, I've got this really pretty look into my scene. Why can't I just click on it and navigate in there rather than seeing this gray bullshit,
Right. Well, I mean, eventually that's all it's going to be is there is no, rendering anymore. You're going to be using some weird mashup hybrid and everything's just going to be there right in the viewport. It's going to be spectacular.
Totally. And then the other thing I want to talk about is just some challenges that I've been having with I'm going to call it my Ice Baby project. So I've been, so the concept again is that there's this ice sculpture chick that is melting over the course of the first minute of the video. And then beyond that, things get even crazier. Like, her arm falls off and shatters. She becomes a puddle, and then the fluids move into the air and then place themselves onto this other chick that's in a fetal position, and then they melt together, and then digital nature forms throughout the cave, and all the digital nature dies because of global warming, and a crack forms in the ground. So there's a lot of moving components, and it's due in 3 weeks, and I'm gonna die. So so Grant has thankfully offered to help me with the melting portion of that, because I was working in RealFlow, and I had to use RealFlow standalone because there's this script in RealFlow standalone that allows you to make things melt. It basically erodes your, this, Brandon? Yeah, it erodes from the outside. Yeah, exactly. This script daemon, and it erodes from the outside in. But my issue is that it's not that controllable, and it kind of leaves, you can control the length of time, like how long it animates, but it leaves your mesh floating. It doesn't, there's no gravity for it. There's gravity for the particles, but the mesh itself doesn't sag. Whereas the Houdini look that's really popular is this tutorial from Ben Watts, where as it melts, the model will sag and slump, and it's kind of a different look that's really cool. So I'd like to get the best of both worlds if possible, and art direct the Houdini look to look more watery rather than wax, if that makes sense.
Well, Tokyo Megaplex in the chat is saying to hit him up because he loves to melt stuff in Houdini.
Oh, that's awesome. Hell yeah. I will definitely.
Our Houdini Slack is on point. I just got to say.
It totally is.
Yeah. But yeah, so the RealFlow thing, what else was I going to say about that? I forget. Yeah. Oh yeah, the mesh. So the other issue is that, and I think Grant has a solve for this too, but when you bring in a mesh and you fill it with particles, you can get close maybe to the resolution that you had before, but you're going to lose some detail because you're filling it with particles. Otherwise, you're going to have this sim that's never-endingly long. And so, like, I can't both have the fidelity of this face, and the face is really important because there's like mocap and facial animation going on, and it needs to still look like her.
Gosh, dude.
You know, I know it's so hard. Well, the mocap, they're handling all of that, but then I've got this issue, entirely different issue, where I'm getting the head back, which is not attached to the 3D scanned body. So I've got to, you know, like quick retopologize the body, and I don't know how to do that. So I'll get somebody. Yeah, that's what they said.
They're
like,
oh,
I
tried retopologizing a still frame the other day, and it took me a whole day to get through a quarter of it.
Oh my god. Yeah.
There's another great.
There's a what is it? The HB script. Geez.
What'd you say, Brandon? There's another.
Yeah, there's another great artist, David. That was just at FMX giving a presentation. His name's Mario Hill. Are you familiar with him?
No, I'm not.
He goes by KFrame _1 on Instagram. You should check out his stuff. I was going to collab with him on a client project. There was a Maker's Mark project that we were going to do together, where they wanted like this like waxy horse for Derby, and it was going to do that same kind of thing where it was going to be very viscous and it was going to like melt and stuff.
That's also going to be my new band name, Waxy Horse.
Yeah, dude.
Yes, Waxy Horse. I like it. Yeah, so he's amazing though, and he's been doing a lot of like big projects in RealFlow, and he was just at FMX giving some presentations. So I think obviously he killed it. His presentations. I hope they release that stuff. Are you guys familiar with FMX?
Yeah. It's I mean, I think I heard more about it when I was all into the FX PhD stuff, because it's more of a visual effects conference, right?
Yeah, it looks like a super fun one to go to, but it's in Europe.
It's in Europe, yeah.
That's the problem. There's some really good conferences overseas that
there's
I'm
IBC,
never gonna get there.
And then in New Zealand they've got I'm blanking on the name, Node Fest. That's
That's in Australia. It's not New Zealand.
Oh, it's in Australia. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's Blair's baby. Yeah. So, and then back to other challenges. So I'm trying to add like a raindrop or like a water drop type shader to enhance the melt effect, because when we're doing that facial mocap stuff, I don't think it's possible to both have her face melting or have the body and all that stuff melting and see the facial animation at the same time. Like that's just too much. So, so those shots will just be separate where she's singing. But to kind of keep that story point going, I wanted to use like a raindrop kind of shader, just like an animated texture. And there's one that's already out there for free by Danny that he made. And it's like, you know that one. Brandon, what the hell is up? You've got like so much knowledge crammed into your brain. I'm just like saying these obscure things, and you're like, yeah,
of course.
I don't know. Maybe we're just like looking at we're in the same channels. Like we're just
the same channels. Yeah,
we're right there. We're right next to each other all the time.
You know. Okay. You know. I've got it up on the stream too. This video that you sent me the link to. This is.
That's the idea thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use that shader, and it looks great. My only issue is that the raindrops are a bit pointy, and they go in kind of diagonal directions, which looks weird when going down the surface of, like, maybe it works for the car, but for this ice sculpture face, it looks weird. And it's like it looks like little weird worms going across her nose, you know? So weirdly, I woke up like yesterday, and it's funny how lucky you can be sometimes, but Travis Davids had just posted a rain shader in, I think it was just on his Facebook, that he'd made, where he started from Andrew Kramer's raindrop tutorial, but then made it better and AE and customized it to actually work in 3D as a bump map. So I messaged him. I was like, dude, you got to sell this, put it on your Gumroad. And he actually gave it to me as a test to try out and see how it worked. And it's super awesome. And I think he's going to package that up and sell it. And that dude is just so nice. Like, it was fun talking to him for the first time. He's like, all I want to do is like make training and help people, and it's like the best thing in the world. So yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with his stuff, but he's done some Octane tutorials, as well as like some amazing, like going from like Daz to Marvelous Designer to Mixamo and that whole workflow.
Yeah,
So,
I
he's very
subscribe
much.
to him.
Yeah, I think he's very in your vein, Brandon, because he uses so many different tools to get the job done, and is like very into pushing boundaries with experimenting with all these different crazy workflows and combinations of different softwares. So
Impulse says you should try instant message for retopologizing. I've been playing
instant messaging. AOL.com.
Instant message.
ICQ.
Meshes.
Yeah.
I've been playing with that program, and I can't quite figure it out, but maybe the thing I'm working with is a little too weird because it was a photo scan. Maybe you have better luck than I do. It's a very simple program.
It's got to be really clean, and I think the guys that did the scan recommended ZBrush or Z-Remesher or something like that.
You should just give it a try because I'm pretty sure it's a free program.
Or I should hire my friend.
Source for
I should hire somebody else to do it though, because I don't know. At some point, I'm just like, there are too many asks for this project and too many things that I've got to figure out with the art direction.
Right.
And these technical things are going to slow me down so much, and I've only got 3 weeks left. So I just need to, pay somebody for a day's work when somebody that's already comfortable in this workflow, because it's going to take me like 2 or 3 days at least, And
you should talk to Brian at Already Been Chewed about the raindrops thing, because he did a really pretty cool, amazing raindrops thing for the Casio watch spot.
Oh, no way.
Cool. When we were up
That's
there.
Awesome.
He came up with this genius way of doing it.
Sweet. How's he doing it?
Well, that's the thing. It's been so long now. I don't remember exactly how he went about creating it. But he basically created something in Cinema and rendered it out and then used it and brought it back in. How would you go about doing this if you were me? And maybe he would have some good ideas to help you.
I think I've got it pretty dialed in at this point. Like Travis David's shader is looking really good. The only issue is that the raindrops get cut off at the bottom. It's not seamless. So I think if I use triplanar, then that should blend those together nicely. And then the only other issue is that the single droplets are all static, and that looks a little weird on the face, whereas the one from iDanny has all the single droplets moving. So my suggestion to him to make it better was offer the streaks as one layer that people pass of just the little animated droplets as well, so that people can choose what parts of those things they want. And then also he's going to make one with ripples for the ground, so where the raindrops are hitting the ground. I don't need that because mine's more melting, but it's going to be really cool when he releases that as a full pack. I feel like that's next level is getting those kind of animated shaders in. Those are really cool to make rain and stuff like that.
He was making it rain.
Make it rain.
That's what I miss, going into these game engines and stuff, because there's so much magic that can happen in real-time shading, just with building shaders out of node graphs and just setting a time value and being able to loop through stuff. And I feel like a lot of the offline stuff is not as what's the word? They just don't kind of gravitate towards that as much. It's just all
the games, it's every single game has animated trees moving in the wind constantly.
Exactly.
You've got God of War. I'm looking at the snow that he's kicking up, and leaving these displacement maps. I'm like, what the hell? I can't do this. It's all in real time. It just pisses me off. Looking at video games just makes me angry so often.
Yeah. You know what's so powerful though is looking at how they do that and then trying to translate it into your own pipe. And what tools you have to use. Substance Designer is just such a game changer.
I know. I need to get into that. And then Tokyo Megaplex was saying marvelous designer. I know. I've watched Travis David's tutorials, and I know how amazing that software is for cloth. I might use it on this because I might need some billowy cloth, but it's gonna be frozen, so whatever.
Yeah.
I could just use X Particles 4's new cloth engine, which is also
pretty good.
Really good.
Yeah. I would, dude. I could show you in 2 seconds how to get some good fabric going, and it's so easy, man.
Oh, I know. Marvelous Designer. Yeah, you're right.
So nice, man. And that's what we had used for this. We're doing this mobile AR VR experience. It's this linear storytelling experience that you kind of explore and find out and solve this kind of story. And I collaborated with 3 other guys. Well, 2 other guys. It was just us 3 on the project. we're waiting this month right now to get funding or partner with a big studio on it, but I can't really talk about any of it. But there was a lot of characters, and especially background characters, and so obviously you can't spend a lot of time sculpting or modeling. So I was using stuff like Daz, and then
awesome.
bringing that into C4D, doing some sculpts, or taking that into Marvelous Designer for the cloth and just for their their clothes. And it was so fast and so easy, and you can get a pretty good result pretty quickly. Like in a day, you could have a character working.
That's awesome. I actually got to play with eye shaders for the first time. This is actually the first project where I've had to deal with a CG face, so that's definitely a challenge for me because there's so much that goes into that. But they gave me fully scanned eyes with like actual geometry for the iris. Jeez. I'm like, holy crap, I can use this. So they've got the cornea separated from the iris. So I went in and I with the cornea, I made it like kind of a glassy material, but you don't want the whole cornea. You only want the part that's over the iris and the, what we see here, because you know how it turns into white right here. So you want to mix between a glossy and a specular, or I don't even remember how I did that, but I used there was a map that helped me do that. But yeah, so I've got the, where it's like, you've got the glossy, zero roughness over the top, and then the iris itself was a little bit rougher, but it was really fun playing with the lights and getting like those eye lights, and then getting the iris to pick up all that light in there too. It's just super cool. And then I think I did something with transmission. I don't even know how I set it up, but I got it looking good. Like I got a pretty realistic eye going, and then but now I got to make it icy.
Exactly.
It's like, I got to throw all this away. Yeah.
I'm really excited for open shader language and everything to be implemented into Octane, because you could take some of those white papers and be able to translate it into a shader that's just specific for like an eye or for hair.
Already? They've already got OSL in there, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Oh. They do. I was meaning like just
for
people
this developing tools or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
For this new wave of OSL stuff being shared on Facebook and all of this. In the Slack. I mean, it's great.
Totally.
Dude. Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like Tokyo Megaplex is going to be my best friend here in a second, because he's like, oh yeah, Z-Remesher, totally. I'll hit me up. I can help you with that. I'm like,
he's done with school now. He's got plenty of time on his hands.
Yeah, right.
So.
He's looking for his next short film to do.
There you go.
Oh, check out Mesh Lab too if you guys are interested in retopology and all that stuff, because it's pretty good.
I just have to do it.
Yeah, sure.
You're like, I will check that out another time after this project is done.
Yeah. I've had to use it for CAD files sometimes, or if I need to have specific control somewhere, you can paint like these maps, and it's really cool. It's really cool stuff. Awesome. You should check it out.
Any more Octane stuff? Any Ravcock stuff?
That's all I got for the rendering and Cinema 4D geekery.
Let's talk about Unreal a bit.
Unreal. Yeah, the newest version just came out last month. So like pretty much the Ides of March. No, actually, it was in March. Yeah. So 4.19 is out right now. I think that's the latest in Unreal. The one thing that I love about Unreal is that, when you first open a project, it's in this deferred pipe. So for those who aren't familiar about the rendering pipes, there's forward rendering and deferred rendering right now that we're like talking about and that we're using a lot on projects. So when you're in the deferred pipe, it's a little bit different of how it treats geometry and lights and how that all interacts. So without breaking it down between those too much, deferred is something that's going to be higher quality, and you can have many lights in your scene. So if you need to have interactive lighting or any of that stuff, deferred is going to be probably in most cases the way to go. But their temporal anti-aliasing in Unreal is so good, and it's just been that way for so long right now. But they have this new thing called temporal upsampling. And it's crazy. I'll just read here what they say. It performs both a temporal accumulation of the frame at lower resolution and primary spatial upscale, reducing output blur. So there you go. It's pretty crazy.
I would hope it would do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. With temporal, anytime we use temporal, and to define something in computer graphics, it usually is defined with time. So it can sample like the frame before and after to give you a smooth result to remove jagged anti-aliasing in real time. So yeah, if you go to just their blog and look at the 419 release note literature here that you can kind of go through and look. But that was one of the things that's at the top, you know, that's going to be something big. And then for the architectural guys and some of the AEC stuff, they have new physical light units. So that should be better for them for Unreal Studio, for those people who are psyched about that, creating live demos of walking around in real time and using like IES data from lighting. Also new live link plugins with Maya going back and forth. So and Sequencer is another big tool that has been used heavily in VFX. What was it? Was it last year? No, 2 years ago. They did the breakdown with the mill when they created the car. What was that called? Does anyone remember in the chat? It was amazing though. It was demoed at SIGGRAPH, and it was like the first time that they were showing off how you could pretty much do live edits with Sequencer. Also with that other game, Hellblade, I believe, where they did the acting. They demonstrated that live.
Yes, I think I did see that. That was
yeah.
The one where they were like, it was like a tribal thing. Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, Hellblade, the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they actually brought in the actress, and they were able to have like camera rigs and shoulder mounts and stuff, and they were able to walk around and do takes and literally like cut and edit in Sequencer her takes from different vantage points. And they all demonstrated this live at SIGGRAPH on stage with thousands of people. And she delivered this incredible like emotional performance. It was amazing. And then they did the Blackbird. Yes, Blackbird is the car rig that they built at the mill. I saw that. Yeah, so when you're doing car commercials, they wanted to be able to switch the color of the paint, the model, the make.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and it was really cool because at SIGGRAPH they were like going through and they were like, no, let's look at it with a classic car. And they were like, and now let's do something a little more safari. And they had an elephant running next to the car. So it was like, just for decision making, it's like incredible to see that in VFX and in a commercial kind of pipeline. So the mill has been using it a lot, Unreal Engine. So and it was kind of stemming off of the talks we had last week about Andrew Kramer talking about like some of the, ray tracing and everything being approximated in game engines. That's perfect for that kind of pipeline where you just need the client to be happy and you can make decisions quickly. So I think it's a great tool for VFX. Unreal is.
How does somebody choose? Because I think I've gone back and forth a lot. I think I've decided, I haven't chosen for sure, but I've decided that I want to learn Unity over Unreal. But how does somebody choose?
I was thinking about this a lot, just kind of leading up to this podcast. And I mean, there is no silver bullet when it comes to tools, but I would assume those who are interested in real-time graphics, who are interested in like the fidelity and just the beautified renders of everything, I would probably go towards Unreal because they've been their deferred pipe has been industry standard for so long. And that seems to be like what they showcase the most when they go and talk at these trade shows, especially at GDC. It's demonstrating graphics capability. It's demonstrating like asset streaming in real time. It's all of this kind of fidelity with them. That's what they're really focused on, and I think that's amazing. And with Unity, it seems to be a little more interactive in terms of using different input devices. It's a lot easier to kind of be nimble with Unity because you have the advantage of C#. And in Unreal you have blueprints, and that can be limiting in some way. The thing with blueprints that sucks is that like if Epic Games doesn't release like a node for whatever you're trying to do, you're kind of screwed, Yeah. So that's what's so powerful about writing code is that like you have all these C# libraries. And you have like everything that's in mono that's derived, and that's what's working inside of Unity. So it's like you have so much there And then you have the people creating like C++ plugins and things like that for Unity. And
what's the thing that's like Blueprint, but it's for Unity?
Bolt is probably what you're thinking of. And then there's also there's one that's called Bolt that's pretty popular.
Okay. All right.
And then there's a state machine that's in Unity called Playmaker. So state machines are a little bit easier to use because it's basically like in this state, I'm doing this thing. And then there's an event that happens and then I'm in this state and I'm doing this thing. So it could be good for like AI. It can be good for, well, you can do anything. You can build a whole game with a state machine until you run up against a wall for that one little thing that you don't remember that you didn't.
Well, I really, really like the character stuff in Unreal, the way you can, bring in a FBX mesh and you can have it do different things, and then you could do stuff like assign a particle emitter or something to hit every time the foot hits the ground, and then assign that to an audio file that makes the sound every time the foot steps on the ground. I'm sure there was ways to do that in Unity, but
yeah, I can't remember the particle engine that's in Unreal, but they've hinted that they're kind of moving away from that and moving into something else. Can someone help me out in the chat what that's called in Unreal? The particle engine. Isn't there an option? Isn't there an option to use? Okay, so there is.
You never know.
Yes, you can do C++ in Unreal, but why would? Why? I mean, it's powerful. You can do whatever you want when you're in C++, but and you can combine C++ with blueprints. Yes, and you can actually cook blueprints into C++, so that you can kind of go back and forth with that. But I mean, does anyone really like doing C++ except for programmers?
It was appealing to me to be able to use Blueprint because I could use it more like Espresso instead of a 4D, and maybe I don't have to know as much programming. But so far, my experience doing the Udemy course on Unreal, I'm actually not having too much of a hard time getting into the code. So
Cascade is what I was talking about. I just Googled it, and
Cascade.
I think Niagara from Tokyo Megaplex. Yes, Niagara I think is what we're moving towards. But Cascade has been there for years. So Cascade is just a particle system that is in Unreal. And then I believe that Niagara is going to be the new system. That's what they're calling it, and it's supposed to be
more of a. Is there a lot of water stuff involved? Is that why it's called that? Or
I think Niagara, the name of that or the state of that is just because it can handle so much data. Like it's just like this giant waterfall data. I think that's why they named it that. I don't know. I'm kind of, But yeah, that's and a lot of people are talking that's going to be Open Niagara can like stream so much data into it. So there was a big talk at GDC with Houdini and using Niagara and getting stuff into Unreal. So, but it's like I haven't seen anything that's yes, Tokyo Megaplex, Super Houdini Vops-esque. Yeah, exactly. You can get a lot of that stuff into Unreal, which is pretty exciting. So you can stream all that into it. Yeah, so definitely check out all the stuff from GDC because there was a great talk and there was a lot of questions at the end of that talk. It was really long and in depth, and they showcased some really cool stuff. So.
And there's also there's a new version of Unity that just came out too, right?
Yes, 2018. Point 1 is officially out, and point 2 is in beta right now. So they have these kind of roadmaps set out for point 1, point 2, point 3. So point 1 was focused on graphics and bringing like AAA quality to Unity. Point 2, I'm not sure what I think it's like job systems and opening up C# API and doing some different stuff with all kinds of cool stuff. So I don't know what point 2 is really kind of showcasing, but it's in beta. But point 3 is kind of memed out right now because they have like nested prefabs, which has been suggested for so long. Like people needed and wanted that for so long, and now it's actually going to be a thing. Nested
prefabs meaning that you don't have to go find them and download them. They're already contained in the.
No, you can. So a prefab in Unity is pretty awesome because you can create like these rules. Like say I have an object and I put something underneath of it. So there's like a child underneath of that, and it's all pretty and it's exactly how I want it. Yeah, I can bring that into my asset library, and then I can nest another prefab under that. So it's powerful in terms of iteration. Like you can do a lot of stuff there with nested prefabs. But it, like I said, it's been memed out because people have wanted it for so long. So
what is the source of prefabs? Because I haven't really gotten into that yet. What is the main source? Is it Unity's website, or is there a repository somewhere that is like the leader of prefabs? Like, where do you get your prefabs?
Oh, so like, are you meaning like where do you get stuff that's already been made from the community?
If I wanted a prefab that was already set up to use Oculus Rift, where could I find that?
From the asset store. And what I would suggest, and just speaking towards VR, is that they have a tool set called VRTK that's been community driven for a long time. And it's very easy to use. Like you can dump it into your project and be off and running with different headsets. So
VRTK. I'm writing that down because I would love to take like Matt's getting bored. He's in the chat room.
I was in the chat.
Yeah.
He doesn't. I would love to be able to take a model or something and just immediately bring it in to VR.
Hey, Jason Light is in the chat. Prefabs are just states of objects versus packages, which you may be thinking of. Yes.
Oh, so, okay. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing then.
Yeah, there are Unity packages that will dump a bunch of stuff into your project, and you'll be able to use. And that's more of like a plugin type of thing. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The prefabs, I don't know why I got it confused. Maybe I'm thinking of another piece of software. But okay. So define a prefab then.
It's basically just a saved state of an object, like Jason said. That's probably, when you boil it down, that's the best way to put it. So like you can create an object, like I said, put something under it, and then you can drag it into your and then you can drag that into your
For those of you listening to the audio podcast,
right. You're not going to know what the hell just happened. But
right.
Mr. Meeseeks just walked across the scene.
Yeah.
Sorry. Across the screen.
Yeah. So you can like clone and reuse that stuff, like Jason said. It can contain a lot of different objects. So you can like save that state and then reuse it again.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. So the
prefab. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, Rick's been getting into all this.
So for someone, for a noob like myself who would like to try out Unity, do you have a specific place that you would recommend people going for, absolute complete noob? Yeah.
Yeah. Unity, just like their YouTube, if you go through some of the older stuff, there's some really good, like, walk you through how a game is kind of built. Because I think if you can understand, like, how to set up a project and how to manage your data and your art assets, I think you'd be in a better place years down the road than just trying to go through, like, how do I, do ray casting or like anything like that.
Right.
If you pick out a one technique thing, then you won't get the full. You'll be missing out on so much more. You need that foundation. So I would. Oh, and also Quill 18 Creates is a great YouTube channel. Quill 18 is, I know it's a random name, but that guy is really, really good. So he goes more into the data side of things.
Dave, Electric Oven is asking in the chat what Unreal Udemy course you mentioned.
Yes,
which one is
funny because I was actually looking that up right now. So keep going and I will find that.
Yeah.
So I would say that I did the YouTube tutorials for Unreal and Unity, and I feel like I'm getting more out of the Udemy course right now. I'm still loading it up to see purchase history. Let's see. Because and the other thing is Udemy has these sales sometimes that are, no pun intended, unreal. Because,
they go.
Dang. Socket error. What's going on here? Okay. So they had back in November, they had a crazy sale going on, and we bought 3 courses. We bought Complete Python Bootcamp, Go from Zero to Hero in Python, Unreal Engine 4. Unreal Engine 4, How to Develop Your First 2 Games, and The Ultimate Guide to Game Development with Unity. That's the one that I'm actually into right now. We got all 3 of those for $30.
Yeah,
so
that's you can't beat that. I mean, that's pretty awesome to get them on sale. That's pretty awesome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just keep, maybe get on the newsletter or something for Udemy, and if you're not like super in a hurry to get to that stuff, and just a sale comes around, and I feel like I'm really getting more out of that than just YouTube videos. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Udemy is pretty great. Sometimes it gets bloated, and there are just some really bad courses on there. So you just kind of have to be careful and see like what the reviews are and how people are kind of taking that, because a lot of people are just doing it for cash grabs. They'll set up a $10 course and just try to get hundreds of people in there, and then they just leave it stagnant and they just dump it. So it can be a pump and dump for like courses. So you gotta be careful with Udemy. I wish there was a little more of a curator or like a moderator that could go through those subjects and comb through all that. It's nice that it's just open and available to whoever, but I mean, there's been some legends make some great Udemy courses out there, but some of them are really bad.
Yeah.
So be careful.
Let's hop over. We got 2 quick listener questions that I would like to do real quick. And then we're going to hop back into some of this other stuff, including some VR. Benjamin Allenson says, what do you do when you realize most of the stuff you made for your full-time motion graphics job is way less cool than the stuff that you do for college? Also just started reading the Freelance Manifesto. So basically, you do some fun stuff for college classes. Let's say you're at Tokyo Megaplex, and you're doing
and you
these
get
really
the real
fun...
world, and it's all dark and gritty, and life is sad.
Yeah. What do you do? Do you do short films and stuff on the side? Do you do something to keep yourself going? What do you do? Because we all know that even the most fun projects can become tedious or taxing or frustrating. So what do you do? Bueller?
Silence.
I mean, the thing is, so realistically, what I think would be to work on some sort of short film or something. Ideally, that would be great, wouldn't it?
Or maybe do it a little bit more simple and just release once a month or once every couple months, release just some kind of self-driven small motion design project. It could be 5 seconds on Instagram. It could be, something that's like 30 seconds, like tells a story, something that feels creatively fulfilling to you, and try to schedule that in. Like if you want to learn new software, you need to schedule that in addition to your client work. So ideally, you get to the point where you've got some clients, your schedule is mostly filled up, and then you choose the ones that make you a bit more money, or maybe you choose things because they're fun and because you're going to learn things, and you take a pay cut on those, or magically you get everything you get a perfect scenario where you're learning and making a ton of money. It doesn't happen that often, but the idea is once you've got your business rolling, you schedule in some breaks to either learn or just take a vacation or to do a passion project of some sort and keep your creative energy up,
Yeah. Can we kind of define what less cool means?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you get to do like fun stuff. Like, okay, here's an example. We do a variety of stuff for our company, and we've done some fun stuff and we've done some pay the bills stuff. But
a lot of pay the bills stuff.
A lot of pay the bills stuff. You got to do that. But we just did, like we said earlier, our very first deal for a major motion picture. But I would like to maybe do more of that. And my whole thing is that I never get to do like super crazy VFX shots. Like I don't have like a reel that shows off that stuff because I haven't really made it. So I'm not going to get work in certain areas. So
yes,
I'm going to do that. So that's what I'm trying to do that on Sundays now. That's going to be my thing. On Sundays, I'm going to sit there. The problem with me is I get bored real easily, and I'll start a project and I get real excited about it, and then it will be too massive, first of all, for me to complete. So I'm trying
Right.
to do this. This is a 10-second shot that I'm going to do.
You're too ambitious.
And, and then you come back to it and you're like, I forgot where these files were. I forgot what I'm doing. You got to get yourself back in that and force yourself to go back to it, because you're going to get busy. You're going to get a new project that comes out of the blue. You're going to get a call. You're going to get swamped with emails. All the stuff and things going to happen. So you could say like Sunday fun day. This is my church for today. I'm going to go sit in Cinema 4D and learn something, and push yourself when you do it too. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I've never done a shot like that before.
I feel if you're doing a passion project with others, like if you're actually collaborating with someone, then you can keep each other honest and continue the momentum. Whereas if it's just you, maybe you'll be overly ambitious or run out of steam, and there's no responsibility. I feel like that's why my coolest quote unquote projects are often just ones where I've got a really cool client that's a collaborator with me and is totally fine sacrificing or giving me half of the creative control or even more, but also supplies me with lots of good ideas, and there's momentum because there's a deadline that's real and there's actual money involved that they're paying me. So all of those things create a really good situation. But if you can try to replicate that client feeling situation by collaborating with someone else for a passion project, then I think you're more likely to actually finish it.
I think it's really hard for people who are very technical as well to do that stuff, because like for me, I'm like, I always say I'm 80% tech and 20% creative. So it's really hard for me to come up with an idea. So there was one morning I was just like half asleep and waking up, and I just had this random idea. I'm going to fly a drone and do a VFX shot. I don't know where it came from, but I was like, oh man, finally like an idea that I had that I feel like maybe I could execute in a relatively short amount of time. And so, maybe even if it's somebody who throws an idea at you, at least to get you started, because I'm really good at taking other people's ideas and executing them, but I have a really hard time coming up with them in the first place.
Yeah. And when you get that, sorry, David.
Oh, I don't know. I was just gonna say I feel the same way. A lot of the time, it's much easier when a client or somebody comes to you with some grandiose vision, and then you're the guy that just makes that happen. You're like, yeah, let's get into this and flesh out all the details and make this crazy world that you've got. But I think that maybe we're just not used to doing those exercises that get us into that creative brain. I mean, it's really a storytelling brain that you would want. And we're technicians and artists, but we're visual artists, and that doesn't equal storyteller. So we have to go outside of that and actually, get into some storytelling, do drugs, get into some sort you guys heard about my weird experience with Chelsea's workshop, where there were these kind of places you would put yourself in, like almost meditative or weird experiments with other people going down the line, thinking up places and scenarios why people, can't have some object. Like the interesting story, is like why characters can't have something, and so thinking up going through those kind of, processes to get to an interesting story and idea, like we're just not used to that. That's out of our comfort zone a lot of the time. But so when people come to us with a cool story, we're like, oh, hell yeah, but we should strive to be able to create those kind of ideas ourselves and actually develop that skill set, because we're very comfortable developing technical skill sets or even artistic skill sets when they apply to our visual medium, but we don't think to go above and beyond with learning to become better storytellers.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add, I got some really awesome advice from a friend. So I mentioned last time when I was on that I worked with Gary Miller, and there was another writer who worked with us very closely. His name was Colin Garcia. And it wasn't about pursuing art, but it was very much of, I approached him and said, well, how do you create a good story? Like, how do you create these awesome scripts that you write, that you're selling, or that you actually go out and shoot? As a writer, I'm not proficient at that at all. I don't even the thought of starting that is where do you even start? So, I went up to him and I just asked him that simple question, and he was just like, well, I think you just got to be receptive to it, like a story or an idea or something that you honestly love. And just going to a coffee shop and overhearing people, or just being open and aware, and being conscious, like in your own state, like every day, because inspiration can kind of strike from anywhere. So, I look at Ashthorpe and what they're doing, with like the Akira stuff, and Akira, I think for a lot of people was an introduction to Eastern culture or Eastern animation. So like that, having that inspiration and having that, that kind of root there with Akira is like something that you should pursue, like if that's really inspiring to you, because I think you're always going to gain, maybe not money, or a monetary value, but you're going to gain a lot more through that project, whether it's networking or just getting views on it or someone seeing your work. So I think it's just so important for anyone to pursue that one thing that like gets them inspired. You really should track it down.
And real quick, to loop back to what you first asked, like what's a cool project? What does that even mean? I mean, the person asking the question was saying that in college, they feel like they made cool projects, right? And that's because, again, it's self-directed. You're doing your own experimentation. That feels cool. You're diving into what interests you, like finding a style. That's cool. And then also, there's a deadline. You have to create something by the end of your college, so that's the environment that breeds, or allows you to develop yourself, allows you to dive into what skills interest you, do your own self-directed research. That's what I think we all love doing. And then having some kind of collaborator that's egging you on, whether that's just some looming deadline of I've got to finish this film by the end of these 4 years, and it's this ambitious project, but I've got the time and space to do it. Like that's the kind of environment we're looking to recreate as freelancers, or in the real world, and scheduling that in between the projects that are making us the money.
Yeah, and I think the thing about being in college and working on stuff like that too is you could come up with like, what's the coolest thing I want to do right now? And then when you're working for a client, that's not necessarily the case, right? So I could say, I want to do a VFX shot, and there's like a robot, and he punches the screen, and there's smoke, and then I'm going to use rigging and do all this. But then the client's not going to come to you and give you the coolest thing. I mean,
it depends. Like the cool job could also be working with the people that you've always wanted to work with, or the studio you've always wanted to work with, because they consistently get that style of work. Like, like Elastic contacted me recently, and I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe you guys are even sending me an email. And unfortunately the calendars didn't line up at the moment, but like everything they do is cool, pretty much.
Yeah, it's very subjective too, right? I mean, we did a job for PricewaterhouseCoopers, and cool is very subjective in what they're trying to do. For them, it was something that was new and fresh. So it is satisfact. You do get some type of satisfaction doing something that's cool for them. It may not be cool for you, but for them. So if you can, that's the other
component is if people are into it and excited about what you're creating, that gives you energy to keep going on the project.
Yeah. Oh man, totally. It is a drag when you're dreading conference calls or dreading emails. Like if you see their email come up in your inbox, you're just
and
like,
it just makes your stomach sink.
Yeah, it's like, what's this going to be about, kind of thing.
That's my life right now.
Yeah, I feel you. And I think that's really important to stay focused on what's cool for them too. So that's why I was kind of saying, like, define what cool is, because if you're unhappy doing those type of projects, then try not to put them out to people to see, because you'll get the same kind of stuff, right?
And Joel in the chat room says, I animated cat litter once. It was still fun because I had full ownership.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yes, Joel, I totally agree with you, man. It is, ownership does breed satisfaction. Doesn't matter.
And Liam says, when Matt comes to me with new projects, man, does it get me hard.
I hate you, Liam.
Okay, I got another question here. This is from Blair Walker, and this is another good question. When is 3D better than practical? I have this debate all the time. Doing it in camera has prestige over CG. Laboring over stop motion adds value by saying we did it in camera. I understand being able to crow about the achievement, but is the outcome better for it? We kind of talked about this, and we talked about the whole virtual set thing and being able to do these like live sets, how we killed the green screen video, all that. you know, Matt and I worked at a place where all the time, instead of like shooting something practical, they'd be like, oh, let's just use the green screen and we'll just build all of this stuff in CG. And we're like,
that's the point where it gets annoying, is when you're taking over like for lazy decision making. Like they just want to do it later. Or you're building things that could have just existed in the real world. Like that's where it gets really annoying. But the place where CG shines is when you're doing things that can't happen in the real world, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
We used to shoot stuff. It's just because they don't want to leave the building and load up the truck and get the lights and hire the crew. Let's just grab a couple people on the green screen real quick, and then we'll just rebuild this entire house that could have been just a house down the block from here that we rented.
Yeah.
And it would have looked better if it were just a house too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sure. That happens a lot here with ad agencies in Louisville, especially with like some of these big corporate jobs like GE. They'll build like a full kitchen and just like shoot, you know, shots and photography and video, and then just tear it all down and rebuild sets. And you know, for us as CG artists, we're like, well, why spend the money to do all of that? And I think it's about control. For the people involved, because you have to know who you're working with. So let's say you don't feel like you can, and there's so many people involved with those kind of big jobs, so they're not going to feel comfortable handing that all to you, and that's going to be your thing, and they can't really fix it if it's halfway down the pipe, you know. So it's the same with, there was a stop motion that they did for Maker's Mark as well that we were talking to them about, and you know, the guys like labored over it forever, and it was a great piece for them. So it just kind of determines like the outcome, who's involved, and what's the budget, and can it be something that everyone can manage and bear the weight of the entire project across many people, or just like a small group of people that are doing CG. I've just seen that a lot in my experience.
I just got a call yesterday about someone asking me, they wanted to do maybe VFX for, it's this Geico ad where there's like someone that takes a selfie, and then you see the selfie full screen, and then a marching band bursts through the selfie, right? And they're like, okay, well, maybe we want to do the selfie in post and have, you know, they burst through blank paper and it's all on green screen. I'm like, why? You could just make like a printout of a big, you know, canvas or big paper and of the selfie and have them burst through it. Like just lock in the selfie. I'm like, deforming paper is extremely difficult to track.
Right.
And then you would have to put tracking markers on the deforming paper and do all this crap in PF track just to have the flexibility to change the picture, when you could just freaking decide on the picture and then have them burst through the picture.
You're probably going to have to go to Nuke for some of that too.
There's a ton of stuff you'd have to use, and it's just obnoxious. It
does become very trivial too sometimes when you're talking to clients. It's like, let's not try to reinvent the wheel on any of these things. Let's not do something crazy. Let's use it for what it's best used for and its purpose.
Well, and of course, lots of clients who aren't too familiar with it will be like, well, CG is CG. We could just do CG this way or do CG this way. It's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I could make you a 5-minute animation for $1,000 or a 5-minute animation for $100,000. It really depends on what you're doing there.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right, got some links and some people's people and some VR stuff I want to talk about.
Cool.
And then we also forgot to do Brograph recommends.
Oh my god!
So we're gonna get into that.
How much longer is this show gonna be, Matt?
Oh no!
I mean,
it's not good. It's not gonna be long. We lost you, David. Where'd you go? We lost
sorry.
your camera. You minimized Skype, didn't you?
I probably did.
See, this is freaking Microsoft minimizing.
I was looking at the time. I'm like, it's already been almost 2 hours of recording.
Yeah, we are almost done. So 30 minutes tops. That's where we're at. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. But you don't have to tell me that. We got to tell you that.
Like,
all right.
Stop your
some of this. Yeah. Some of this we already talked about. We talked about Unity. I'm going to post a link. There's an X Particles sneak peek to an update to X Particles that is super awesome. And it's mainly about speed. It's adding a lot of speed. Really good. So check that out in the show notes. There was a link that somebody posted in the Slack for something called PureRef, which is they have a Patreon thing. You have?
Yeah, it's just
You like
really
it?
good for. Yeah, I love it. It's free, I think.
Mhm.
And you just drop a bunch of images in there. It doesn't matter how big they are, and you can just zoom in and see them at their full resolution.
Yes.
And you can have it auto-organize stuff. It's really great for mood boards. It just
Nice.
like auto lays everything out in a really attractive looking way, so you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that. And you can move stuff around and scale it, and make it how you want, but
Yeah.
also just have it lay it out for you. It's cool.
The one of the best features is that you can have it lay on top. So like it will never be minimized or it'll never be overlaid by any other software.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
I like that.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
When you're
Yeah.
referencing something to, okay.
You can make it always on top, which is perfect.
Damn.
Nice.
Mhm.
All right.
I think it's like in a right click menu, so check it out.
So that's almost like a stencil, like the idea of drawing with a stencil or something like that.
Yeah,
Just having an
yeah.
overlay. That's
Or
interesting.
even if you wanted to just have something as like a little box in the bottom corner,
Yeah.
just so you could remember what you're referencing. Sometimes I need that when
For
I'm in
sure.
cinema.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a great little video called "Shooting High-End Spots with Virtual Production." Check that out.
Yes. I saw
There
that.
is. Let's see. We've got the new Particles update. Cornelius Damrick updated his website. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
So did Beeple.
Yeah.
Oh, Beeple did too, huh?
Yeah.
On Wix.
Alright.
He used Wix, didn't he?
Yeah. I
Oh,
wonder if
nice.
he got paid for that.
Yeah, is that going to be a commercial?
Is it going to be a
like we've been
Wix
seeing?
commercial on YouTube
Yeah,
for him?
Exactly. Like,
I mean,
I don't fucking know. My name's I used Wix for I don't know.
I just learned Wix yesterday.
I just learned Wix yesterday.
See, that's actually
and
a
it was
good.
So easy.
it's
Yeah.
that's actually going to turn into a good
So-
thing if that happens.
There you go.
Yeah.
You need a website
Yeah.
for your dailies.
Yeah.
So funny. Man, I want to start
Shameless
making
people.
those passive income through just like sponsor, like just blast out there. Oh yeah, I use Squarespace and
Yeah.
give me the money.
Give me money. I use Squarespace. Give me money.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We talked about the plugin that Mark is doing. We there's a great VFX breakdown, Lost in Space. I think I got that from you, David. I think you posted that somewhere. Lost in Space VFX breakdown.
Did I?
David,
Probably.
did you
Yeah.
post that?
I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Lost in Space on Netflix.
I
thought
don't
you
think I
posted
did.
that.
I've seen the show a little bit, but I didn't post a breakdown.
Oh, that's a great breakdown. And then there is, I don't know if this might be an old plugin. It's called Flocks for After Effects, but it's the first time that I saw it. So you can do flocks
New
of
to me.
birds
Oh,
and
that's
After Effects, like 3D birds too.
wow.
Hmm.
So there'll be a post for that. So guess what time it is?
Mm.
Let's go to Beeple's People.
And the song, People's People.
Where'd you meet
Brand-
Steve Teeple?
Where'd you meet Steve Teeple? Brandon, do you know the Beeple's People song?
No, I don't think so. But
Oh my God.
I did have Jeepers Creepers stuck in my head the other day,
It's
which is so
basically
weird.
the same song. It goes, People's People, where'd you get those greebles? People's People, what's up with that guy? And Dave does it. It's got this like super old timey sound, like he's
Like a
coming
ragtime
out his nose. Exactly. Yeah.
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 Ragtime. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
da-da-da-da.
when you listen to the show back, it'll be in there.
Yeah. All right. I had one last week we didn't do because I was puking. So
Brandon
I'm gonna
hasn't done this before. Brandon, do you know the
go last week. He did it last week.
He did last week. Oh, okay, good,
did,
good.
yeah.
But
I missed
it was
that.
way quick.
I
though.
haven't
Like,
listened to the whole show yet. I've not listened to the last 30 minutes or so.
I
Yeah.
so rushed through it because I was
Yeah,
like,
he did.
okay, we're getting out of here. So let me bring it up here. Bring up your Beeple viewer of choice and go to April 15th, year of our Lord 2018. And this one is called Kid A. Now, first of all, there is a Radiohead reference there, right?
I think so.
Today.
Yeah.
What day
Today.
is this again?
April 15th, year of our Lord 2018. I'm going to look up Kid A for the album cover. I don't know if there's any. No, not really. I don't know if it's a reference to.
Oh, this
Radiohead or not.
creepy one, the Amazon guy with the speakers coming out of his neck and eyeballs.
Yeah. So, he's been on the whole kick of the corporations having
Mhm.
everything labeled on them.
Okay, well, if you look at the bends The,
It does
the
look like
album
the
The
Bends.
Bends, it looks like The Bends.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably called it Kid A because it looked like The Bends, but he's got the Amazon logo at the top.
Okay.
Boom. Called it.
Figured it out.
Maybe
People,
he
you
was
can go ahead
listening
and
to
hit me up
Radiohead.
and say, yep, he totally got
Yep.
that.
You were right.
So transparent.
Yeah.
So this is like
Come on, add a
jacked
little bit of depth to it, dude.
Right.
This is like jacked into the person's eyeballs and stuff. It's like you don't even need a helmet anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
You
trying
don't
to
even
figure
need
out.
eyeballs anymore.
Yeah, I know.
True.
I'm trying to figure out the story on it though, because it was VR helmets before up until now, and now is this a new thing? Is this beyond the VR helmet now that we're just hooking right into people's brains?
Yeah, but why are we sponsored by Amazon?
Yeah, why is it an Amazon thing? Maybe
Right.
because Amazon buys Facebook in the future.
I don't think so.
No, because they're both in the future renders he did though.
Yeah.
So, Amazon's going to come out with their own VR helmet.
My question is, why is everybody always bald in the future?
It's hot,
Because-
dude.
Because 3D
It's because
scans of hair are hard.
It's easier
Yeah.
to use. Exactly. No,
Yeah.
that
That's
is
why
the real
everybody
reason.
wears helmets in
But
most
If you
CG.
look at Fringe, like everybody in the future is all bald. I think it's because like hair is on its way out. It's like a vestigial organ. We don't have any real use for it anymore.
Mm,
So in the
Okay.
future, we're all going to be shiny bald heads.
yeah.
Well, with
Do you think
global
we're going to
warming,
lose
I
our
guess,
eyebrows?
No, global warming would cause you to be very hot, so you shave your head in order to stay cool.
If we
Just like
needed, if we still need
radiation.
hair for keeping us warm, we would have it all over our bodies like monkeys, but we don't.
What
So
makes
it's on
you
its
think
way
I
out.
don't?
Now, what about maybe it's that just the same condition that what's his name had in Napoleon Dynamite, where I just got so hot. And he just
Oh, yeah,
shaved
yeah,
off his
Pedro.
hair.
I
Maybe-
think that you nailed it, Dave. That's exactly what he was thinking.
This is
Yeah.
Pedro in the year 2045.
Pedro.
Should rename it Pedro 2045.
Pedro. So we'll have to think of alternate names for all of these now. So
Yeah.
that's. Okay, so the next one is May 1st. It's called Year of the Dog.
Oh, I love this one. I think.
And,
No.
Do we have to
Yeah.
come up with
Is it-
alternate names for all of them now? Because my
No.
alternate name for this would be called Dinner. Am I right?
Oh, I love this.
Because it's, yeah. All right. I like this because there was this like obligatory like cat in the street
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
Japanese alleyway thing that
Yeah.
like a bunch of people did, and so Beeple was
very
like, "Screw you
cool,
guys, I'm doing a dog."
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very. Have you seen Coolest stuff? He does like this. He has a game actually that's coming out
I've
for
seen it.
Unreal.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what kind of inspired Jelen Zhang's Pause Fest titles. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the
he's
game
great.
called again? I can.
Yeah, is that game out yet? Because it looks really awesome.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. He's interesting. Cool it is. I've never been able to keep up with what he's doing, but he just releases these amazing images
Like
on Twitter.
HK Dev blog or something like that.
Yeah. HK Dev Blog. Yep.
I pulled that out of my
Man.
ass. Yeah.
You did.
Wow.
Yeah, but I've literally visited this so many times just to see where they're at with it, and I don't know. They're crazy though. They're great.
I think it's funny now we've just stopped talking about how some of these things were made unless there's something real specific because we just want to get to the story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
pretty.
I think this one's beautiful. I love the.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's just got kind of his own stock repository of signs at this point, because I feel like it takes quite a bit of effort to design those signs.
Seriously.
Or maybe there have been some people that have been releasing packs of animated signs and glowy signs on the Octane Facebook group, and I try to download those when I see them. Like Aaron
Aaron
Coverett,
did the
has-
sign thing.
did the sign pack, which is awesome. But then there was some other guy that had a pack of these different Japanese and Chinese looking signs. I don't know.
Yes.
You know,
I know what you're talking about.
and
You
they're,
know,
like,
that's a good
animated.
idea. You
Oh.
download them right when they come out, which is great because I'm always
Yeah.
like, oh, where's that thing? And I can never remember where
yeah.
it
I
was.
try to keep a
Mhm.
big, like, I love that I've got my 8 terabyte Dropbox now.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's worth it to
It
just
is.
load everything onto that. And then all three of my computers are synced together. And I just keep adding to my asset libraries.
Do you think this is a dog 3D scan?
I'm
Yeah,
sure it
I
is.
think so.
Yeah. Look at the reflection.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could do that in Photoshop, but why would you? You know.
No, I mean like a photogrammetry rather than a model.
I don't know.
Probably not. I don't think
Hard
you
to
could
tell.
get a dog to hold still that long.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Unless it's stuffed. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Stay.
There
You're
you go.
taking all these pictures.
Yeah.
Stay.
I mean, that
stay.
probably
Ugh.
is how they do a lot of it. Like, if you know, those 3D scans, like, there should be a store. Like, I mean, Blank Repository obviously has got their food scans, but why not just raid some person's taxidermy collection and scan the crap out of
man.
a bunch of animals? That would look really
Well,
good.
hair is difficult to do with photogrammetry, though.
That's true. But if it's like peach fuzz, like if it's just a pig or
True.
something, you know,
That's true.
Mhm.
Man, somebody better get on that. We got all the ideas, just no time
all
to
the
implement.
ideas.
No time to execute. Let's go to May 2nd, Terraform Planet 1. Now, here's the thing. Here's
Now
the thing.
here's the thing.
Now, here's the thing.
You know what?
Terraform.
This is using the exact kit bash pack that I just released some
Oh, really?
renders on. And I think the cool thing, if you look at my renders, I struggled a lot with this pack. I mean, it's really fun to put them together like Legos. You can create, it's
Right.
designed very much to, it's called Space Colony. It's designed to, as it's called Kit Bash 3D, but you get these different corridor pieces and you can make as long corridors as you want and make a very complex array of these buildings and stuff. But because I was shooting it kind of from a high angle, all of my buildings look pretty small because I kind of wanted to feature this crater. I built this like lunar surface and tried to make a really epic looking crater, but it made the buildings look really small and insignificant, which is kind of a look unto itself if you're going for this is the first developing space colony. But I like Beeple's render a ton because he really nailed this scale and perspective. He scaled, I mean, like, you know, obviously the Beeple's people astronaut dude helps.
That's what I was
in the
going to say.
foreground.
If you would have done that.
Yeah, but my renders were so far away, you wouldn't have even been able to see the individual people. I tried putting like lunar rovers in there to help sell the scale, but even those were so small that it just couldn't even tell what those were. So I like that these are down on the level of the buildings and you're looking up at them. So that definitely gives it, when you put the camera on the level of a person, you get that scale, especially when the buildings are towering and taking up the horizon, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, atmosphere really helps too because we all
Atmosphere helps.
we understand that. We understand lighting and when you have a
Exactly.
large object in the distance.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's easy. And I decided not to do that because the moon technically doesn't have atmosphere, but like if you're terraforming, you know, then maybe you're going to be some part into the process where you've got some thin atmosphere. So yeah, I think all those decisions are really cool.
But you're missing the thing here that there's a beepleception going on this one.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I don't like the one thing I don't like about this is that the background, the spherical model here is duplicated. So I feel like that kind of makes the scale feel a thing, or if you've got two of the same building, then you don't want them to be vastly different scales, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
were you gonna say?
but Terraform
But-
Planet 1.
yes.
This
I don't think
goes
you
into
picked
our
up on it
story.
yet, David.
I'm pretty sure this is our story. He actually like did a real, you know, an actual render for our story.
Because we've been talking about the terraforming for so long.
I know, but
But the
he's
beepleception is
but
happening.
he's been on that. But you guys were just right that he was on that terraforming
Mhm.
Maybe.
track.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe he's adopting your story, and you guys can give yourself a pat on the back.
That's what I'm
I
hoping.
think that you're way more important than you are now.
Aw.
I'm just kidding.
Aw. Well, he did the other one, the with the circle window that said a new home the other day
Mhm.
too. So we're like, yeah.
Oh, and also if you look at the next one, you got the next one, Dave?
Which one is that?
Emoji Bomb?
May 3rd. Did you come up with Emoji Bomb?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we came up with Emoji Bomb.
You did. I didn't.
I don't
I
remember.
don't remember that.
This is the podcast of taking credit for all of Beeple's ideas.
Weapons
Funny.
of mass emojis. I love it.
I don't want to be influencing his story too much.
Right.
That's the thing. Like,
Well,
I'm
see,
just
the emoji warfare. Remember emoji warfare? What we were talking about? We were like, maybe it's like an emoji bomb, you know, and stuff like that. We joked around about that, but maybe it was the whole time, and we were just, you know, whatever.
It was, yeah. The emoji was Brad Pitt the whole time.
If there's one,
the emoji was dead the whole time.
I think there's at very least one render that we can say we contributed to, and that's the one where he was on the
Bros.
podcast with us as bros, and then we got framed prints of it. I love it.
Yeah, I like what he did with the scratches on this one though.
The emoji.
May 3rd. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, did the emoji kill these people?
Oh yeah.
But why?
Yeah,
okay,
totally.
but it's
'Cause you
like
can
the
see
holy
that
hand
the,
grenade.
the thing is coming from the center of the emoji.
Mhm.
So
it's coming from inside the emoji.
I love those skulls. I wonder where he got those. Models. They're really cool. I mean, I guess it's not that hard to find 3D scans of skulls, but there's some other bones in there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I dig
What
it.
about the smoke in the
I
cloud?
think that's added. I think some of the smoke is added in post. Looks like to me like he photoshopped some of that in there. But same thing with maybe the clouds. I feel like it's just a background. I don't know if he brought that in as a separate plane and did the whole luminance texture thing. This looks pretty photoshopped to me, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he used like a basic volume object to get that depth haze, like a base level of that depth haze, and then added some additional elements on top.
Do you think that's bump or displacement?
I think it's bump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. If you look around the circle of the emoji, if it were displacement,
Yeah.
you'd see it kind of breaking up the edge a little bit.
True.
You know.
Yeah. Man, there's been some really good ones. Like, we're playing catch up on this.
I mean,
NAV.
the ones that are the most stunning to me lately have been the ones that are animated. So if you take a look at April 27th, Google
I know which one you're
2031.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was our
one's
last week,
incredible.
wasn't it? Or 2 weeks ago?
No, we didn't end up doing this one.
We didn't?
No.
Oh. Well, that one was gorgeous.
Yeah,
Super
that's really
gorgeous.
cool.
That dude's got like a robotic kind of.
Yeah, the
robotic-
prosthetic limb is awesome.
Yeah, it's badass.
Yeah.
And I love obviously the dynamics of the chain or the whatever you call it, the tubes dragging is amazing.
I like the telephone poles too. I'm obsessed with telephone poles and electrical wires and stuff for some reason.
Where are you seeing
yeah.
tentacles? Oh, you're looking at a different one. You're looking at the other animated one, which actually I think is even more incredible.
Which one were you looking at?
I was looking at Google 2031, which is
The guy walking.
April 27th.
Okay.
The guy walking.
Yeah, we didn't do either
Yeah.
of these.
There you go. That's the one I was looking at.
So
But yeah.
Google is doing a new Android. So this is what what's that robotics company that releases those videos all the time?
Boston Dynamics.
Boston
Yeah,
Boston
Boston
Dynamics.
Dynamics. Yeah.
They got bought out by Google in the future, and this is their new.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Replicate Stray is obviously a complete take
Boston,
on Boston Dynamics. And I love this because it's not just Mixamo. Like, the other one is definitely Mixamo with the walk cycle. But this, he had to put the detail into the animation of making that creepy robot dog walk. And all of this is definitely... Yeah, at this point, it's obviously all 3D because camera's moving and all that. But yeah, the telephone wires, that might be Aaron Coverett's utility pole, actually.
I was thinking about
asset.
that.
Yeah.
That might be
such a nice asset. Yeah, and then like the little blinking lights on the head of these guys and the way they walk is so cool. I want to do stuff like this.
I wonder what he used as the model, because did you ever see that animated GIF of different animals and how they walk? It's
Yes.
really cool.
Yes.
It's really cool. I'll have to find a link to that. I think we may have talked about it.
I've got it. I'll send it to you in the dingus.
Because like different animals walk and prance and run differently with different timings as far as when their paws hit. So I wonder what the reference was on this.
So cool. I wonder if this is at all to do with the content of his short film that he's been developing.
Oh, I didn't know he was doing that.
No, I mean it's been in the pipe forever. Remember, like he just still hasn't finished it.
Okay, I thought really like the still version of this as well. With the it has a little bit more light on the front.
Oh, you like the? You were saying you like the still. Sorry, you potatoed for a second. So you're.
Oh, sorry.
We were just going,
Replicate Stray.
Mm-hmm.
Has a little more front light on it, so you can see some of the details that went into this.
That's interesting. I actually much prefer the look in the animated version.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are going on a huge tangent with this. So
you're right.
Let's go ahead and finish the show. Okay, so 2 quick things for VR Corner that we found. I found these yesterday. Matt, you mentioned it to me today. I was like, yeah, we definitely need to talk about this. Is number one. And here's another link I forgot about that I was going to do last week. Is the Vive SDKs for the Vive Pro front-facing cameras are out. That's just, there's the link. Whatever. We don't have to talk about that. But the Oculus hand tracking stuff is
super cool.
Really cool. They're like hand tracking without any sort of controller in your hand. And so my immediate question
that was
like,
in the void.
Are they going to get rid of controllers, or I mean?
Wait, so they used hand trackers in the void?
Yeah, remember? I think I told you that it tracked your hand without having a controller. It was not that good, but it was impressive.
Yeah,
like that was the one part of the experience that kind of fell a little flat for me. Just in that the tracking was not there yet, but it's really cool. I had no idea how they were doing it, so it was fascinating for that. And you know, it even sensed your fingers, like Chelsea flipped me the bird, and it worked. Yeah, it was funny.
But the Oculus hand tracking, they say they've hit like this breakthrough in their hand tracking technology, and they show it, and it's really good. But my question is
that going to get rid of the controller?
Are they going to get rid of the controller? I don't know if they would.
I hope not, because I really enjoy the controllers.
Because Matt was like, how do you shoot? And we're both like, yeah, you just go pew pew pew, pew, you know.
Yeah,
but
I mean, maybe that's where the gun props come in and stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
but then you have to buy a new prop every single time you want to play a different game.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's just a single utility gun that feels good enough.
Like
and can be...
Robo Recall, whenever you're reloading or something, you just throw the gun away and grab a new one from your side.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Throw a gun.
Kind of, you would kind of lose that functionality. I mean, like the way that that crappy VR experience that I did, zero latency. God, I hated that. They just had it where you hit a button on the side of your gun and it would switch the model, but that feels crappy. You know, it doesn't feel cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool for immersive tech, but not having haptic feedback is kind of a bummer because you don't want to have controllers holding, you don't want to do that all the time, but without haptics of being able to touch and feel, I don't know, it kind of feels a little weird. I guess your brain kind of doesn't really know how to process that a little bit if it's really good tracking.
Do you think we'll ever go to a haptic glove of some sort that actually can control how far your fingers can move?
There was a course or a talk or whatever at SIGGRAPH about haptics and being able to do touch sensitivity, and it was like a fingerless kind of glove setup, and then like over top of the fingers you had these like pressure sensitive kind of like mounts that were there, and they were talking about how to simulate different types of elasticity. So like if you were going to touch like a gooey object, like how would that actually work with a pressure sensitive mount on the finger? It was really cool.
Or loosens based on how much current is flowing through it. That would be really helpful.
Yeah, it was really impressive. I mean, they had these like charts that talked about like, once you would cross a certain threshold, how hard it would push back to mimic a certain material. It was weird, but it was really cool.
The chat room is saying Nintendo Power Glove.
Yeah. Billy said white with sequins on it.
But the other big news is that Oculus revealed their 140-degree VR headset prototype with very focal display, a variable focal that changes based on where you're looking with your eye. So
I think that's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. You look at something close and it focuses on that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my biggest beef with 3D movies. I hate watching 3D movies specifically because they want you to focus on one specific thing. You know, as an artist or a creative
we want to be
person,
able to look.
we want to be able to see the whole frame. You know,
Right.
So,
But the 140 degrees of field of view, and then put in like a double resolution screen in there. The next version of the Rift is going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
yeah,
You'll only need
totally
4 1180 Ti's to run it.
So there was some new tech that dropped today too. I wanted to add. I was going to send it to you. But I forgot.
Yeah.
Google Seurat just went open source today. So that's what they were using for the Star Wars Rogue One experience, and it's basically being able to do high fidelity rendering on mobile VR. So if you take a look at some of you can Google Seurat and you'll be led to that video for Star Wars, and it's all running on a phone, so it looks incredible. But it's basically about how you perceive stuff in VR and how it displays and renders it to you. And it goes pretty in depth on the open source page, so definitely check that out. And I hope that gets implemented into Unity in some form or fashion to bring that over. So yeah, there's a GitHub link and everything there. So yeah. Oh, it is in Unity.
See, I can see that being more useful in AR, like the up and coming AR stuff.
Yeah.
As well, because it's going to be implemented with your phone somehow. Yeah.
It's all about how you perceive it and which way you're looking and like how you're looking and what level and like how it renders it back to you. It's really weird. It doesn't render anything that you can't see, so it's like highly efficient. So yeah, and there's a screenshot here in Unity with it. So
it's like peripheral vision for rendering.
It's all about so Seurat was like a surrealist painter, I believe. So I think that's where they got the name. So it's all about how you're looking. So Seurat works by taking renders of an environment from a bunch of different angles and positions, and then mapping them onto a low polygon VR scene that you can move around. So the processor is always like something we're having to think about when you're doing mobile projects, because you can't overload it with too many things in your scene. So this is pretty crazy, but it's about to hit the Daydream, I think, the next big Daydream update.
I'm trying to find here's one. I'm just trying to find one. You type in his name, and then you get like every other painter ever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about like how you look at it in his paintings and stuff. That's kind of what they were trying to stem off of with the name of this technology.
I gotcha.
So it's pretty cool. It looks amazing.
All right. Well, I think we are almost ready to go. Real quick, though, I wanted to do your Brograph recommends, and we're going to get out of here. So real quick, we're gonna do this like speed style. So because I know everybody's got stuff to do.
Yeah.
So we are going to ask you some of your favorites, and we want to get your feedback on what those are. So number 1, favorite movie.
T2. Nice. Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Good.
Forever.
Good
hesitation.
Dude, just watch it back and then tell me I'm not right.
No, I totally agree. Anytime it's on TV, you got to watch it.
Dude, it's amazing.
It doesn't matter. You just stop and you have to watch that movie.
The aesthetic, just everything they chose to do in that movie is just so good. Like
it's a perfect movie.
Yeah, yes. and shows off the power of CG and storytelling, as Cameron always does. Which is why my business is named Glass Hand, because the Outer Limits episode that inspired Cameron to do T2, it was the demon with the glass hand. So that's why I chose this to name it Glass Hand. Yeah.
Sweet.
Favorite music.
Boy. Okay. Favorite music?
Favorite music.
I'm very eclectic with music. I listen to country, rap, hip hop, rock, metal, everything.
I would think living in Louisville, you would.
Yeah, it's a weird city. I mean, everyone's like, keep Louisville weird. So yeah, in Louisville, there's everything here. Lately, I'm listening to Post Malone's new stuff, Beer Bonks and Bentleys. I've been waiting for that for a long time. He's been teasing it, and then he dropped it, and I dig it. Twista, I mean, he's like one of my favorite rappers back in the 90s, and And then metal and stuff. Under Oath just put out a new album that I've been really into. So I followed those guys for a very long time.
Childish Gambino.
Childish Gambino.
Do you like Kendrick Lamar?
I love Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. Who doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
And The Weeknd. I if I get into some R&B, I love The Weeknd.
Yeah.
Daft Punk. It got me kind of, and Deadmau5, of course, got me into EDM.
Mm-hmm.
And Avicii, who just passed away. That's sad. So
you should check out Madian.
Mm-hmm. Madian.
That's good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Really good. Love that album. Favorite TV show?
My God. There's so many good TV shows.
Right now, what's your favorite?
Well, oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, Breaking Bad, obviously that changed like cable networking and stuff for the better, and started raising the bar on quality for those cable networks. So gotta love Breaking Bad. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna hate myself later because there's so many good shows.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, I mean, all the Netflix stuff, of course, Stranger Things, like, kind of revitalized the 80s vibe into pop culture and mainstream. So got to give that its due because, I mean, 80s stuff is amazing and got to love that. Favorite podcast?
Favorite
Brograph.
podcast, yeah. Anything else?
Just leave that off. We need to leave that off from now on because everyone just says
Everyone
Brograph.
just says that, yeah. Anything else?
I watch a lot of YouTube stuff, stuff that's kind of like outer rim of like what we're into, like video game stuff. Got to keep up with all of that. And then Ash Thorpe, the Collective podcast, when they do stuff, it's fun. I listen to Matt Workman's stuff a lot when he was doing his podcasts, and definitely just like watch his YouTube videos. So I think I love podcasts. Oh, also, what was the one where people come up and tell their stories? It was I
heard about that, but I've never heard it.
What, This American Life or something, or no?
No, it's on like NPR and stuff a lot.
They go door to door, right? They go to someone's door randomly, and then they just ask them to tell their story. Or is that a TV show I'm thinking of?
It's where they go to the Moth. Thank you. Yes, the Moth.
Billy got it.
Yes. Okay, the Moth. Everyone, if you haven't listened to the Moth, there's this one amazing story that you have to listen to. It's so emotional, it like almost makes me cry every time I listen to it. But it's about the Jazz Soul on Top. Just Google the Moth Soul on Top. It's amazing. It's incredible. You just gotta listen to it. It's like the best story ever.
Sweet.
And then come back and tell me what you thought about it.
This one should be interesting to hear from you. What is your favorite plugin?
Oh my gosh. Favorite plugin?
Out of all the different softwares.
All the plugins.
Yeah, that you use. What would be your favorite? Because for most people, when they're on the show, it's about, compositing or 3D.
Yeah.
But
my God, all of them. I love that there's so many people making tools, and you can kind of pick like which one you need for your projects because they're affordable now. They're not as expensive as they used to be. I mean, I remember like when renderers were like thousands of dollars, like just to get V-Ray, to do stuff, and it's way more affordable now. So I guess when it comes to plugins, since I'm so interested in like physics and stuff and material and lights and how that all just kind of is wrapped up, any kind of render engine doesn't matter.
Cool.
Pick your poison, my guy. Just any render.
What's your flavor? Headphones. Favorite headphones.
Okay, well, I need to recommend for this because
I'm wearing Comfort 35s.
Remember what I was talking about before the show? I have these like green earbuds that I got at like a gas station or something.
I got these guys recently.
Are those any good?
Yeah, I like them. I actually really like them. They're pretty seamless. Yeah, they charge this little egg thing charges them and keeps a charge as well.
Nice.
And then they just automatically like turn on when you put them in your ear. You just pair them with whatever. And then you
Those
double
are
tap. The Apple AirPods, and you double tap the thing to stop and start, and you can set it to double tap the other ear to access Siri. The only thing I don't like is that there are no volume buttons. You got to use your phone or tell Siri to turn the volume up and down. So that's annoying. But usually I just want to start and stop anyway. So
how's the low end? How's the low end, like the bass? Is it?
I'm not I'm not an audiophile, but I'm pretty sure they're higher quality than the ones you're wearing for sure. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the ones I'm wearing are like these cheap little Sony things.
Oh, gotcha. I thought you were wearing the default Apple ones. No, Matt's wearing the Apple ones.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
They're way better than the earpods for sure.
Yeah. Adam just said headphones or headsets. That's a good divider there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm all about the headphone. Well, the thing is, like the Bose Select Comfort 35s have a microphone on them, so they double as a headset.
Nice.
Yeah. And so, do you go the gaming route and like try to look into what they're making in gaming with like headphone and like the headset?
No.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not
just-
really like into the gaming scene so much.
Yeah.
But
So
you know,
the
our running
Logitech
gag,
stuff, you know, I don't know.
Logitech, the headsets with the microphones on them and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what you see on Twitch all the time, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hard to choose, I guess. I wish I had a recommend for you, but I'm still in the market, so.
Bose Select Comfort 35s.
Okay.
Says it every
nice.
time.
It's our
Nice.
running gag on this show.
Yeah.
Because we love them so much. I think we've gotten a lot of people to purchase them.
Yeah.
So
My other
For
favorite
noise-
thing about the
Yeah.
AirPods is that you can charge your phone and listen to stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Like the good old days.
Like the good old days.
Yeah. What is your favorite website or Chrome extension?
Chrome extension for sure is Honey. Have you ever heard of this?
Have not.
Okay, so for all
Is
you
this
guys
the one
out
that
there,
saves you money?
oh yeah, saves you money. It's gonna scour the internet, get you coupons, and even for
Ah.
Amazon, whatever you have in your cart, it will go ahead and populate coupons that have been used recently. And it's pretty nice, you know. I like saving money. It's pretty cool. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Well, that's
I think
cool.
that
I'm
was
adding
like
it
one of
right
the
now.
advertisements that they use. A line in the advertisement. I like saving money.
I like saving money.
Yeah, I like to save money.
Honey
Do
saves
you
you
like
money.
saving? Yeah,
Mail.
it's like a rhetorical question.
Time?
Mailkind.
Favorite website?
Well, it was either or, but if you do have a favorite website offhand.
I frequently just check software that I use on a day-to-day basis. So, like, I always refresh, like, the Redshift page, the Octane forums.
Yeah.
You know, I actually, the way I use Facebook and the way I use social media, I enjoy it. I think people who use it in other destructive ways are not appreciating it as much as I do. But if you're not vain and you use social media, it can be powerful to reach out and connect people. So
Absolutely.
so I couldn't like ignore any of the social media stuff because it's great for me.
Mhm.
And
I hope it's great
lastly,
for everyone else too.
this is the tough one, or it's an
You know
easy one.
Here's the thing.
Mhm.
I'm going to stop you before you say this, Dave, because Amy has brought this up,
Okay.
and no one
People
ever
need
has
time.
an answer.
People
for
need
this.
time.
Yeah,
life
people
hack?
need time. So she actually had the idea that we should change it to favorite, or like either favorite book or book you're currently reading.
Hmm. How about okay?
Okay.
Let's do it this
I
way.
like
I'm
this
going to
question.
say
the life hack question is good.
No,
All right,
I
okay,
have
here's-
an answer. I have an answer.
Okay. All right.
So when I was this is like everyone probably had done this at some point, but when I was in college and I didn't have a speaker for like just home entertainment, I would save like the toilet paper rolls, or I'd save the paper towel rolls, and I'd put it on my phone, like cut a little hole and
Yeah.
put it on my phone. So when I get in the shower, I could like jam to some music.
It sounded like 1920s, 1930s.
Yeah, ragtime.
Yeah, I like the ragtime stuff.
Yeah, totally. But you know, when you're on a budget, you do what you can.
That's cool.
Wait,
That
how
works.
does it work? Can you explain
It
this one more time?
amplifies the sound inside the little
Yeah.
tube.
Two.
So you
Since it-
take the
since it's
tube, right?
enclosed.
and
Oh,
you
yeah, okay.
stick your phone in there, and then it amplifies it.
It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
It's like when you yell into a paper towel roll when you're a kid,
Yeah.
or when you're an adult. You know.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
still do it.
If there's a paper towel roll around, I'm like megaphoning like around the house. Yeah, I'm childish, but favorite book or book that I'm reading, is that the extension to that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm going back and reading Doom Patrol, like what's his face? Why can't I think of names when I want to say them out loud?
Sorry.
Grant Morrison? Yes. You guys familiar with like his work?
All the grants. Too many grants.
Yeah. Grant Morrison's like he's an Irish writer, and he's like super famous in the comics industry, and he pretty much revitalized Doom Patrol. So if you're not familiar with Doom Patrol, it's like a really old DC ragtag group of people, and it's super weird and super funky. And if you like that stuff that's like mind bending, check out Doom Patrol, because it's probably one of my favorite comics ever written. Everyone talks about what's the one that Zack Snyder ruined? The oh my gosh,
300 or something?
No, not 300. That was a comic as well, but
is that when him and Jesse Spano had the caffeine pills?
The comedian and like all the guys. Help me out, chat. Why am I blanking?
Comedian and
Watchmen. Thank you.
Oh, Watchmen. Yeah.
Yes, Watchmen.
Graphic novels.
Okay. That's what Grant Morrison is probably most famous for, is for his work with Watchmen.
Yeah. See, my brother would know that. I know.
Comic, free in half price comics on Saturday. So if you missed out, I'm sorry. Wouldn't want to be you, but I went and splurged. And Chad Ashley said the same thing. He was like, yo, I got some comics too. So, but comics are, I mean, for a creative medium, it is consistently the best, what I've found, the best storytelling medium out there, because they always do the weirdest shit. And it's like, great, you know, like, so take my word for it. Pick up Doom Patrol. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, I took my daughter to Free Comic Book Day Saturday. That was fun.
Yeah, it's so
they
much
always
fun.
do it up. They always have like people dressed as Halo characters and anime, and
fun. I love going into comic stores because no one gives a shit about like who you are, where you come from, or what you know, and no one's like out to be like, oh, you don't read this or blah blah blah. They always like recommend some amazing stuff to you. So I love.
They're opposite of comic book guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like different than going to a record store. You know, in a record store, everyone made you feel awful because you didn't know that the freaking who was it? What's the band? Never mind.
Never mind. I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean.
Oh, you want a Radiohead album? Rolls eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, it's like,
no. Giving you crap because you didn't know that the magnetic fields did not make their stuff on vinyl yet.
Oh.
Sorry, dude, at Good Records off of Lower Greenville.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I mean I just love comic stores. It's so much fun.
Enjoy your Pabst Blue Ribbon.
All right, let's get out of here. I gotta go to the bathroom.
David is like, oh my god, I have to go.
No, I'm fine. I just the client demands are.
Well,
are
hopefully this was a good break for you.
It was. I really loved talking to you guys.
Head.
Brandon, it was awesome. Like, thank you so much for being on the show. It's you know, this is the Fantastic Four or something like that.
See, Brandon, wouldn't you say that I'm probably in a way better mood than last week?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I didn't say a word.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't say mood, but state of health for sure.
Yeah, state. Yeah, like I didn't ask any questions, as I was just like, I'll be right back.
I'm just glad you didn't have to go to the emergency room and stuff. That would have sucked.
I came pretty close to asking someone to take me. I'll tell you that.
Damn, dude, that's.
So we are going to get out of here. You can rate us on iTunes or leave a review. You can also subscribe on your podcatcher of choice. It helps get our ratings up. And subscribe to our newsletter as well. Go to our website and check out all the good stuff and things on there. The plugins, the Slack channel, the live stuff, the swag, including the T-shirts. You can get the classic Brograph shirt, the no Brograph, no Mograph
So classic.
So classic.
Old.
You can get the limited edition Gate and D. Simone shirt, which is very limited. We're going to stop selling that at some point. The Paul Babb, Feel the Babb 2020 shirt, all of the profits from that go to Doctors Without
Borders. This is the stuff I'm saying gets stuck in my head, Dave.
Right.
The viral stuff. I'm like, you can get the T-shirt with no Brograph, no Mograph T. I'm like, what does that even mean?
And then, the Renter Thing shirt, or hoodie. You can get that on here too. Or you can just search for them on Amazon and it'll come up. Make sure that you are on the authentic Brograph Amazon accounts and not the ripoffs that steal our shirts and take the logos from them and blow them up all pixelated and put them in their own shirt. Because I've had to work with Amazon to get those removed, unfortunately. So yeah, check out all the good stuff and things. We'll see you on the Slack. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, Instagram, of course, YouTube, and Brograph.com. And until next week, I'm Dave.
I'm Matt.
I'm David.
I'm Brandon.
Have a good one.
Later,
bros. Awesome.
All right, so
we're still live.
Yeah, I know. I'm stopping my stuff because my thing was chugging.
Yeah, my stuff is chugging.
2 hours and 33 minutes. It's not the longest ever, but it's pretty fucking long.
Yeah.
That's a short show.
It's a short show, that is.
Oh my gosh. I'm glad we could all get together and do it. It's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Alright, I'm slowly turning off all the live stuff.
Just so I can bitch real quick once you guys get the live stuff off there.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
I'm just going to put it in the dingus. Wait, why can't I send messages in this?
I don't know.
Something.